The viral toy commercials are actually depicting a glimpse of an alternate timeline. AI toy commercials are so nostalgic that they often feel like a real commercial you may have seen in the early to mid 2000s, but from a different evil timeline, with concepts like a doom-scrolling Dana doll with her eyes all tired and dark bags from TikTok scrolling all day. The theory of AI-generated clips actually being glimpses of alternate timelines has never felt more true, as these feel like actual commercials from interdimensional cable or something. You got the MAGA family doll sit with the red hats ready to go, to the liberal barista action figure, a timeline where politics make their way into kids' entertainment. Oh wait, PragerU already is doing that too. They also got the baby daddy playset and the stressed dad action figure, also touching on current events like the Latino MAGA dad who has to be on the lookout for ICE agents. All these clips feel like something straight out of Adult Swim.
Introducing the liberal barista action figure. Comes with real coffee cup accessory and attitude to spare.
No kings, fascist pig.
Press the back button to hear bold catchphrases while she serves up hot takes. Liberal barista action figure.
Introducing doom-scrolling Dana, the oversized doll who just can't log off.
She looks so tired, but it's kind of awesome.
With real plastic noodles, a light-up phone, and those epic under-eye circles.
The Charlie Kirk coincidence. There's a striking and eerie coincidence between the 1998 film Snake Eyes by Brian De Palma and the real-life assassination of Charlie Kirk that many are calling predictive programming. In the movie, a character named Charles Kirkland, played by Joel Fabiani, who was the United States Secretary of Defense, is assassinated during a public boxing match, hit right in the neck. Just names alone, this is an eerie coincidence that similar things occurred to them, but there's a few others that not a lot of people make connections to. In the beginning of the movie, we see the game day poster reading, "The Atlantic City Executioner, Executioner Tyler." Another oddity if you know how that name is relevant to the case, which I don't think I could elaborate on. And what makes it even creepier is that the date below matches the day that Charlie passed as well, a glitch in the Matrix type of coincidence. I don't want to forget to mention that this movie is also extremely into numerology and hidden occult-like meaning, with tiny specific details left everywhere for viewers to find, with an all-seeing eye floating high up in the background in one shot, as well as mentioning the spirit of Jezebel through the Jezebel storm that occurs while the fight goes on. And when the fight is going on, a man in the background seems to receive some sort of signal before the hit takes place, a similar thing that happened during the Kirk incident that a lot of people reported on, claiming that the man closest to him seemed uneasy or expecting something to occur just moments before. Of course, this is all opinions from the viewers. In the main scene, we also hear a fast bullet sound as it hits someone, and Nicolas Cage is seen touching the left side of his neck. Noticing the blood, he turns back and sees Charles Kirkland assassinated. After the defense secretary is shot, the inside man initially pins it on a Palestinian terrorist supposedly retaliating for the United States' defense cooperation with Israel, but that's misdirection to hide an American conspiracy to push through a faulty missile defense system. And in real life, similar type of logic for their theories and stuff was first used to find an answer on the truth behind why this actually occurred, especially on Twitter, but on the opposite side this time. Not a Palestinian motive, but you know what I mean. How AI thought Doritos were a deadly weapon. Minority Report coming soon. So an AI security system off the bat sounds dystopian as hell, and a Baltimore County, Maryland school made the conclusion and flagged that a kid was carrying a firearm in his hand. After the AI alerted school officials, the Baltimore police were called on him, finding that he never had a firearm at all, and what was flagged was actually a Doritos bag instead, that the teen had shoved into his pocket. All this while he was simply waiting for a ride home after football practice. I think this is the true end of privacy. As much as people think they are not being surveilled, getting mad at First Amendment auditors, you know, the IRL rage baiters that film randoms that get triggered for being recorded.
Do interviews, otherwise I would.
What are you doing?
I am trying to take some video and pictures, and people keep asking me what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to take pictures and video.
Of what?
I don't have the sun's not going to be up long enough for me to explain everything to you.
Store asking why they're
It's not against the law. It's not against the law to be rude to ladies.
No. Do they have a contract?
They got a point. We are constantly being watched, whether we like it or not. This kid had 8 cop cars pull up on him and a gun pointed at him over a bag of Doritos. OmniAlert, the company of this AI surveillance system, came out and said that the system worked as intended. through rapid identification. But what does that truly mean, guys? Will systems like these just flag anyone who looks suspicious and call the cops on them already, alleging that you are a dangerous person with a weapon? Will it now be guilty until proven innocent? I've seen a lot of defenders of the system in the comments saying that small mistakes like these are worth it in the long run because it may stop a potential crime in the future by playing it safe and flagging even slight suspicious behavior. But what about people's rights to not have a gun drawn on them for holding chips? By the way, this all happened in a short span. As soon as he shoved the Doritos in his pocket the wrong way, 20 minutes later, the police arrived confronting him. This also reminds me of the fact that OpenAI CEO literally came out and confirmed that the convos you have with ChatGPT are not private, and it will snitch on you if you say something deranged or suspicious, bringing us closer to a reality where AI may be used to predict crimes before they even happen.
Yes, you. Come here. Keep your hands on your head. Keep walking towards me.
Do you have a gun on you?
No. What?
Do you have anything blue that looks like a gun?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what it looks like right here. It looks like that.
Yeah. So basically the cameras around the system, they pick up on things that look like guns. I guess just the way you guys were eating chips, Doritos or whatever, it picked it up as a gun. That's all.
In this case, the program did what it was supposed to do.
AI is not the best.
Threat detected. Firearm. Lockdown.
Police! Hands where I can see him! On the ground, now! Let's see those hands, kid! Cuff him! Bag's clear! I got the bag!
I don't, it's just chips.
Quiet! He's holding a bag of chips. Clear the hallway! They dragged him out in cuffs.
It thought a chip bag was a pistol.
But it met the threat threshold.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, just scared.
YouTuber ties to Saudi blood money, Mr. Beast KSI. Riyadh season is Saudi Arabia's big months-long entertainment festival in the capital, created by the General Entertainment Authority as part of Saudi Vision 2030. All this in order to up their image in the world, making them seem more friendly and welcoming, even inviting A-list celebrities to come and perform, which has caused their fans to complain and say that they can't support them if they take Saudi Arabian blood money. Others claim that the criticism is not warranted because it's not like America has its hands clean either, and that they are being one-sided and or Islamophobic. But Bill Burr, Andrew Schulz, and Dave Chappelle aren't the only ones taking that sweet Saudi oil cash. YouTubers are also amongst the guilty. Not surprising at all, Mr. Beast is also being called out. He is set to host the games this year alongside KSI and iShowSpeed, being revealed in a high-budget promotional video posted on their channels. But why are they being so hard on them? Well, the allegations of being part of a propaganda movement to clean the reputation of Saudi Arabia has been the main cause. They are simply puppets being used to give a family-friendly feel to a country that puts people in prison for criticizing government officials. I mean, we are kind of inching close to that in America, but over there it is full-blown, with everything being swept under the rug. Turki al-Sheikh, the chairman of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, is the top official who oversees and announces the Riyadh season. He is great friends with KSI apparently. God, I miss when he would just troll his brother Deji. Both of them teaming up to create a boxing event and being buddy-buddy in a video where KSI cannot stop cheesing, something we did not see with the other A-list celebrities, revealing a closer connection. But also the fact that nobody really wants to be seen with this guy, Turki al-Sheikh, not even Dana White, who looked pissed off with him. Though Tom Brady seemed to not care as much. Well, it turns out that he is not only a promoter but a ruthless tyrant, with over 40 people around him reporting that he rules with an iron fist, sending people to prison over tweets that were even slightly negative about him. The Riyadh jail even has a wing in the jail named after him called the Tutu Wing, his nickname. One guy was even put in prison for replying to one of Turkey's tweets in the wrong way, simply for complaining that his team lost. The Al Hair prison is not a place that you want to vacate to, as it has been known as a place where people vanish. One dude was even called by a random number and told to go to a specific location, where he would end up being kidnapped and taken prisoner, stuffed into a van, and transported to Riyadh, where he would be confronted directly by Turkey, gangster style, about the negative comments and posts he had made against him on social media, where the man claimed that al-Sheikh was being biased He was then slapped in the face and forced to delete all the comments and posts he made. He seems more like a pimp than anything, and that's not a compliment. And these are all testimonies from people who didn't take his hush money. Imagine all those who did or weren't as lucky. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the marquee sport faces of Riyadh season. Practically, that means he plays centerpiece matches and Riyadh season branded events with Al Nassr, which makes sense why this awkward collab happened with Mr. Beast, when Mr. Beast is not a known football fan. Cristiano just seems to be there for the money, as he just tries to push promo for Saudi Arabia the best he could, offering Beast free tickets. Beast seemed unimpressed as well. I mean, they also had Mr. Beast rocking the Al Nassr kit in one of his challenge videos that featured Cristiano Ronaldo. They all seem to know each other allegedly. The money runs deep. Play 2. This was a video considered the most obscure creepy video found on the site, according to YouTuber Watch, who makes list videos of the top most things. And all we get in the form of info is that it only has 77 views, the title is Play 2, and the brief reading, user mother8538 gives the viewer a stark warning that the worst is yet to come. A lighter spark is the thumbnail on this list representing the video, so of course go check out the video. But it's now gone, so is it lost media? Not exactly. Someone was able to retrieve the channel via the Wayback Machine, with 5 videos posted being titled Play 2, Punish, Think, Wait, and Play, all posted 5 years ago from today. So it definitely was a real channel, but the channel was wiped by YouTube, removed completely, so we cannot see what is in the actual videos. It was so obscure that it didn't even survive the internet is forever thing. Another thing that survived from this wipe was a potential either screenshot from a video or a thumbnail of a baby doll sitting on a chair, with similar carpet showing to the one in the Watch 2 list countdown video thumbnail. Internet users were also able to trace the image back to a girl on a Chinese social media. So case solved, it was just this girl trolling us all the way from China. Is this real Mother8538? Because the videos were also posted on this random Chinese site via posting a link under the username false or true, almost taunting followers of this rabbit hole, where they also met the same fate they would meet on YouTube. Their video got taken down. That means it's got to be a pretty serious video. A Redditor would also go on to explain that if you search up that username, a gore site would pop up as a suggestion on Google's search engine, writing on their Reddit post that they were too scared to open it up, but that it could be that lost media. Some say this lost media started with the girl narrating and then using a lighter in front of the camera, stating that she was gonna do something, over and over again. Then a screamer appears, and the video cuts, maybe meaning she took her life, or maybe also speculating that she burned that doll that appeared to share the same exact carpet as the lighter video. Maybe she was too graphic with it, and it triggered some AI alarm takedown once people flocked to watch it all at once. DoorDash girl versus AI, possible Mandela effect? DoorDash is known as the to-go app for food delivery in America when you are lazy or busy, I guess. It's mostly Gale orders though, let's be honest. Recently, there was a TikToker who was working for DoorDash through the app making a delivery to a house. When she got up the stairs and to the door, she noticed that it was wide open, with a clear view to a couch, with a half-naked man with his thing out covering his face with his arm, with the light fully on. This freaked her out completely, and as proof that it happened, she took out her phone and recorded it. But this is where she made a great mistake. Right after this, instead of just showing authorities and or an attorney, she went right onto TikTok to plead her case, not knowing the can of hurt she just unleashed. At first, everyone in the comments was on her side, claiming that DoorDash was completely wrong for ignoring her situation, and that the man definitely did it on purpose, most likely his kink or something. I mean, imagine if a kid was walking by before she even came to the door to deliver the food. Her original post had the caption, "A man named Austin orders DoorDash, selects the option to have order left at door, sees his DoorDasher, me, has a female name, falls asleep on the couch, and his front door wide open in 59 degrees Fahrenheit, so this is what I see when I have to leave the order." But then something happened. The clip went mega viral and the comments started to shift from support to questioning her original video and version of the story, even claiming that there was a video that existed before the main popular one. The alleged original captured her pushing the door open fully from its cracked position. Evidence was provided in the form of a snippet of the door being slightly cracked open, not fully open. This became a case of either lost media, the Mandela effect, or a dedicated campaign to drive her off the internet, allegedly. As this narrative of a quote-unquote original video was pushed hard at first from a lot of bot-like accounts with similar things to say, now she was the guilty one for invading his privacy and opening his door to expose him on the couch. Was this an innocent man? A large majority of TikTok thought so, mainly due to the influence of these mass comments claiming she deleted videos, trying to hide her original video and evidence of her guilt. And so began the reply videos where people claimed that she was fully in the wrong. No more halfway stance. They had seen the quote-unquote original video on Reddit apparently, and that the man was the true victim in this case as she invaded his privacy by pushing open the door further. She was nothing more than an attention seeker to them. Comments were pouring in, going hard against her and any defender, making some suspicious on whether this was a natural shift in public opinion or an organized plotted one, claiming AI was being leveraged to boost engagement in these comments and videos calling her out, in order to give DoorDash a better look and take the hate off of them for a little. She was no longer the innocent victim. And yes, there were some strange videos that were produced calling her out and claiming that there was an quote-unquote original video that exposed her for pushing open the door.
I saw the original video of the DoorDash girl, and I'm a little bit confused now that I woke up and see everything that's happening. When I saw it, I said, hey, I understand why DoorDash, well, I guess fired you, and why you're blocked from the app. Now as for the guy, I can see why everybody in their mind is saying, hey, he did it on purpose, all this extra stuff. When you look at the original video, that couch was not in your clear sight line unless you angled yourself and looked over. Okay, let's keep that in mind.
Okay, let's keep that in mind.
This account has been stalking me and harassing me for the last year now, and I have asked them to stop multiple times. I have sent in many reports into TikTok, into Apple Store. I've sent so many reports. I've sent my ID in multiple times. I've filled out every freaking form you can possibly fill out, and there's still nothing being done. I have no clue what to do at this point because she blocked me, so I cannot report her for impersonation on my own account. So if you guys see this page or any videos coming for this page, please report it, block her page, do something. Here's the thing. She takes my face and she puts her own audio to pose as if I'm the one that's saying what she is saying, and it's simply just not me. I'm okay with people clip farming and taking my videos and reposting them, but when you're taking my face and you're putting your own audio to make it seem like you're the one who's making the entire video, that's when it becomes an issue. Some things she says are controversial, so people are attacking me for the things that she freaking said. Like, it's just, I don't understand how this is fair. I don't understand how people can do this. So if y'all can please help me tag TikTok, do what y'all need to do, but I'm just at this point fed up. I just want my face to stop being used as a way to get out your controversial topics. Like, use your own face.
Another oddity in this agenda to expose her was the screenshot of the now lost media original video that people claimed was deleted. The only piece of evidence that was offered of this lost media was clearly fake. The low quality image was just a cropped snapshot scene from her real original viral video that showed the true story of the door already being wide open with the lights on when she got there. They didn't even try. There was no true quote-unquote original video that ever existed showing her pushing the door open, or at least not a real one, as people began to create AI versions of it actually happening and or reenacting it completely, something that never happened. Something that had no proof of it happening, that was just a narrative being pushed in the comments, became a reality that everyone accepted as being true without a doubt. A sort of Mandela effect phenomenon happened where everyone agreed that they had seen the original video that proved that she was guilty of opening the door and going into his house, invading his privacy. I'm no one to say this because I haven't seen it, but supposedly there was a video, the door was cracked slightly open, and apparently he had a beer in the video on the ground or something. And even if the door wasn't cracked open, the only thing she was supposed to do was leave the food at the door. She could have literally left the food and gone about with her day. Keep in mind, she recorded him naked in his own house and posted it on social media. Am I missing something? Because that makes sound sense to me. Many comments claim the same thing, but does it make it true? No. The thing that did not help her case at all, though, was then ranting about it on TikTok, because she became a meme quickly, with her image of her crying "I'm the victim" being used everywhere. Instant hit meme. It was great material for the bots apparently. Many claimed this was a smear campaign on behalf of DoorDash, allegedly using bots and paid influence, because as soon as the internet was on their side, they finally released a statement saying that although they take reports like this very seriously, she should have not posted it on social media, therefore justifying deleting her account. This further pushed the narrative that she was completely in the wrong and had everybody back on DoorDash's side. Missy Maya, otherwise known as Anthony, was a YouTuber in the 2010s. At the time, he was a 22-year-old filled with dreams of becoming a famous rapper from the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. His channel, titled The Hugs, was filled with videos of him just strolling through his city, being a troll to people, with his own little goofy spin. From roasting people to rapping, he had it figured out. He was messy and proud of it, saying things like, "Who's gonna pop me?" invited negative attention from those who opposed him. He loved agitating the haters, taunting them. He knew he was getting into serious trouble with people's emotions, but this wasn't anything to be scared of to him, because he grew up in a rough environment, where he saw his friends pass away at young ages. This was nothing new to him, even having to move to Houston, Texas to evade the heat he was catching from his foul comments, taking us to November 2010. On the 14th, Anthony was supposed to be hosting his son's baby shower, when all of a sudden, on an empty street, somebody had finally confronted him, taking his life at close range with a gun. Multiple shots were fired, leading to irreversible changes. His people were crying, one called police, while another filmed and photographed his last moments as he bled out on the street. Quickly, the image was posted and made its rounds in his community, and online in general, where he was seen with his face down on the ground in a pool of his own. Yeah, this mentally scarred his fans, but also drew more attention to his videos, something he always wanted. The most haunting thing about this case is that at first, his supposed killer, 24-year-old Jason Hamilton, had a similar striking appearance to Anthony. His confession was taken seriously for 3 years, until finding that he was on medication for bipolar disorder and had an alibi to prove he wasn't there when Anthony's life was taken. His charges were dropped, and the case remained unsolved, though his messy spirit lives on forever. Anthony was sampled in the beginning of Beyonce's song Formation, a shout out to Louisiana culture, though his family didn't appreciate the gesture and sued Beyonce, settling out of court. What are they building at the White House, and why does Apple and Meta care? The White House has announced a $300 million project to build a new ballroom, officially pitched as a space for state dinners, major events, and symbolic gatherings. It's being privately funded by tech titans like Apple, Meta, Alphabet, and Amazon, as well as defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Palantir. On paper, it's a prestige project coordinated through the Trust for the National Mall. But for a ballroom, why now? Many suspect this isn't a ballroom at all, but rather the construction of a massive underground bunker capable of sheltering key personnel in the event of nuclear war, AI rebellion, or a societal collapse. The $300 million cost is wildly out of proportion for a mere event hall, especially one that's not even visible to the public. The location, the White House grounds, is ideal for a secure command post or a continuity of government facility. Tech donors like Palantir and Microsoft have deep ties to defense and predictive modeling, suggesting foreknowledge of future instability, leading some to conclude that they for sure know that something is definitely going to come pretty soon, and that they're making a sort of safe zone for them and their donors. Another theory thrown out there is that they're making a AI-powered data command center underneath the White House. This data center is supposed to automate the government and make it more efficient, supposedly, an idea heavily pushed by Larry Ellison, the chief technology officer of Oracle, who opened a underground cloud data center in Jerusalem in October 2021. It sits roughly 50 meters 160 feet below ground in a multi-level bunker beneath a Jerusalem tech park, and Oracle later said its second site in Israel would be 9 floors underground as well. Pair this up with Mark Zuckerberg straight up saying that he's going to invest $600 million over the next years, sitting right next to Trump during a high-level meeting, reveals how much these tech giants really need the government to work with them right now. Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book, also called The First 50 Years, is a peek inside Jeffrey Epstein's inner world, composed of praises towards the man and his interests, from his fascination in scientific theories explaining the origin of life, to layered writings that are filled with hidden meaning, and strange artworks that were produced for him. This book, at first glance, may seem like a cop-out to providing real evidence, but it still speaks volumes, and in this video, we will try to decipher this book. Every piece of this book says a lot about this man and who he truly was, and the table of contents alone reveals his connections and aspects of his life he truly valued and wanted others to know he loved, or at least his close ones, with girlfriends and girl-friends being two separate chapters, as well as a chapter simply titled Children. This is creepier knowing he didn't have any kids of his own, or at least that we know of. Looking past the easy connections we could make with the names revealed in this book and the whole Trump signature and giant chick, which only further proves his involvement with the man, Epstein is humanized and brought down from his evil villain-like status when reading this book and its many letters written to him, truly showing his lasting impact on the people around him, positive and negative. Epstein believed he had a true and deep understanding of life that other people couldn't grasp to realize. They were NPCs to be controlled. He lived in a world where most everyday people he interacted with were gullible and easy to persuade, understanding that a mind with confidence would be able to achieve anything. He thought of himself as a man higher than morality and laws. He was never like the rest, transcending social barriers. He knew that throughout history, rich and powerful men were the people who dictated reality, creating norms that were beyond normal quote-unquote NPC thinking. Jeff was his own god in a sense. He was the enlightened one, and he felt most comfortable as the subjugator. Knowing this, it is more believable to accept that he would never want to be alive under the control of anything or anyone. His ego was massively inflated by those around him, and it's pretty apparent when you start reading this book. As this was his main purpose in life, he would rather die for his beliefs than be punished for them. He did not deal well with disrespect, as seen in the interviews he had with those lawyers. Page 157, right before the famous Donald Trump chick photo, there's a letter that gives us a personal perspective revealing him. Dear Jeffrey, since we first met some 30 years ago, I never imagined I would open New York Magazine and read Jeffrey Epstein, International Man of Mystery. Jeffrey, I care about you, and those that really know you know that you are not a mystery man. You are enigmatic to most that think differently, those without your incisive sense as to how the world works. The magic that you possess is your remarkable capacity to arrive at solutions. It's always been Oscar Wilde and Jeffrey Epstein that were always right. You are perceptive, insightful, concise, all in 30 seconds. If you don't get it in 30 seconds, you will not get it. The moment will have passed. Your centered individuality, your lack of desire for public recognition, reminds me of a story I once heard about the Irish playwright Samuel Beckett. He spent his life avoiding the public eye. None was a greater sense of displeasure than recognition from the teeming masses. So the story goes like this. Beckett was with his mistress in Morocco and received a telegram from Ireland with the news he had been awarded the Nobel Prize. His reaction: "This is the worst news I have ever received. A word from the wise to the wise is sufficient. Jeffrey, I love you as a brilliant and unpredictable friend. May you always maintain your inner solitude. I wish you health, stealth, and contrived wealth. Not necessarily in that order. Happy birthday, Joseph Pagano." This letter was pointing Jeffrey right out, complimenting him for his dominance and style of navigating the public eye, also warning him to keep a low profile in the most subtle way, as to not give away his true secret that keeps him motivated, something that some may assume both the writer of this letter directed to Jeffrey and Jeffrey himself know about, a common theme we find in these letters, talking about things in code. Jeffrey's friends know his biggest secret, but adopted his perspective on it and did not see it as an evil, depraved thing at the time, because of how influential Jeffrey was in convincing them that it was just the quote-unquote lifestyle of a super successful, intelligent man that was beyond being basic. At this stage in his life, the early 2000s, Jeffrey had reached his peak wealth and was in his own little paradise he carved out for himself. Epstein claimed to manage money only for billionaires, though no public records confirm other clients besides Wexner, and owned properties in New York, Palm Beach, New Mexico, Paris, and a private island in the Caribbean. Bringing us to this photo. A picture says 1,000 words. I wonder what a drawing says. Found on page 155. To the left, we get a glimpse of how Jeffrey Epstein was perceived by his unknown friend back in 1983. Jeffrey is depicted as a middle-aged guy with black hair, light in skin color, has a grin on his face as he hands a lollipop to a green shirt girl with blonde hair, purposely choosing her as his type that he likes. We know for a fact they are young because of the way the illustrator portrayed them cartoonishly. Really goes to show how Jeffrey was open about it to those around him even in 1983. We should also notice the wear and rips in his jeans, suggesting that he was broke in that era of his life, or at least that's how he thought of himself as. We know after leaving Bear Stearns in 1981, Epstein founded his consulting firm Intercontinental Assets Group, Inc. Its business was recovering money for wealthy clients who had lost funds to bad investments, fraud, or disputes. Around 1982 through 1983, he reportedly worked for clients like Spanish actress / Harris Ana Obregón, helping her recover millions lost in the 1982 Drysdale government securities collapse. He was not poor, but he also was not yet the multimillionaire he became in the 1990s. At that stage, he was financially comfortable, but still hustling for his big break. But he is also holding balloons, an object in the air, holding the balloons alongside the lollipop. The lollipop, I want to know, is not simply a red circle. It also has a blue line going down at the tip, which could just be an accident when coloring the background they are in, which is in blue. But this is kind of strange, and it seems to be the biggest accident on the page. The bigger drawing on the right depicts Epstein way later in 2003. He is now much older with gray hair. This time he is laid back, getting a tan with a full smile, not worrying about a thing and not wearing a thing, as 4 blonde women surround him. And one of them is covering his, his balloons turned into a Boeing 727. In the air, it's Island Jeff now with a helicopter. He now has more to offer than just some balloons and a lollipop. He now has to offer an entire mansion of secrets. What a great country is the cherry on top. They feel invincible and invisible and above laws and morality. You were seriously easygoing, never uptight, never worried, always confident. That aspect of your personality, of course coupled with your brilliance and intellect, is what made you who and what you are today. That don't give a shit attitude, your calculated aloofness, your sense of humor, and most importantly, that confidence came to you early on. You had to have confidence and an I don't give a shit attitude to bring Redacted into your Seagate world. It worked. You began to realize that you could get away with shit, that chicks and people in general were schmucks. You sensed that you were sharper and more astute than most, especially the ones who had women, money, position, and power. Yes, your charisma and persuasive ways came very early on, and you didn't learn life's lessons in your house. You learned them from us, me, Frog, we, from Europe, Interlochen, our trips to the city, and all the people you met along the way. The adultification of Pixar by AI. Darker motives? The Pixar multiverse is here. People are now able to generate high-quality Pixar trailers for their most mind-rotting ideas. They are legitimately watchable this time, and some have good plots. According to the comments, they would totally watch a longer full-fledged movie of these concept trailers for Pixar films made with AI, like racial ones where they are straight up playing up all the stereotypes and being as controversial as possible. And this piques a lot of people's interests. I guess history repeats itself, as this is similar to America's history of depicting racial stereotypes in media like cartoons and toys, making an exaggerated character based on race for entertainment, not knowing the hidden dangers. Take for example Loot, where they make a Disney Pixar version of the 2020 George Floyd riots, or Osama, a family-friendly retelling of the 9/11 tragedy. This has led to a lot of questions for people, as they believe that somebody outside of the country is making these and they're probably not American, pointing their finger towards Russian bots with the plan of creating racial racial division within the country. They also created one about an Indian kid who goes against the family and wants to be clean, and then the family starts hating on him for wanting to take a shower, based on all those dirty Indian stereotypes that have risen due to those street food videos that have gone viral. Yeah, some people have questioned where exactly these AI creations came from, their true origin, and their true motives, as many of these clips seem to be deliberately divisive, trying to create racial tension. Could these clips be boosted by AI bot farms, trying to spark race wars? Like the recent one that Europol just dismantled, a sim farm for hire platform that powered 49 million fake accounts? EDP445 also made a cameo in this AI multiverse as the man with a sweet tooth and an even sweeter heart in the Pixar film Cupcake. We have truly reached the end game. Would you guys watch any of these concepts if they were turned into full movies in the future?
Ow! I'm tired of this family!
Where are you going?
We're out of milk! I'm just running to the store for some milk.
Do you think Dad will find it?
Finding milk. She's beautiful.
She sure is.
Congratulations, Mom and Dad.
But how? I mean, she's so different.
Different can be a gift.
Hey, honey. We are going to the room. Why don't you come sit in your special chair in your little corner?
Yes, ma'am. Right away.
Disney's Cuckold. Coming soon.
I can't breathe. Please, I can't breathe.
Get off him!
He can't breathe!
Mama.
One more job, Anika, then we're gone.
You always say that. All right, dear, should I click redeem now?
Ma'am, please wait 1 moment. Do not redeem!
We're almost there.
La Pascualita. La Pascualita is a famously lifelike bridal mannequin that stood for decades in the window of La Popular dress shop in Chihuahua, Mexico. First displayed in 1930, the legend says she isn't a mannequin at all, but the perfectly embalmed corpse of the shop owner, Pascuala Esparza's daughter, who supposedly died on or just before her wedding day, often said to be from a black widow or scorpion bite. What fuels the myth are details like her hyperreal hands, visible veins, her glassy eyes, and the store's practice of changing her clothes behind curtains and only letting certain people do it, plus stories that her gaze follows visitors and that brides who buy from the shop gain good luck. With people trying to capture all this on camera, saying that her eyes follow them. Researchers and mortuary professionals who've weighed in say a real corpse couldn't sit for decades in a shop window without intensive preservation measures. So the consensus is that she's an exceptionally crafted figure doll, likely wax or a high quality mannequin, not a mummy, but the legend lives on, claiming she moves at night. Natural Selector 89. Pekka Erik Avinen was born June 4th, 1989 in Tuusula, Finland. He had a father and mother in his life, as well as a little brother. Though he was described as a happy kid growing up, many of his teachers and peers would describe him as antisocial and awkward, standing out as being extremely interested in history. His teacher would also note that he had overprotective parents who never let him do much outside of school, even receiving 10 missing phone calls at one point from the parents when they were on a school camping trip. It was the first time Pekka had ever spent the night somewhere else at 12 years old. The boy also had the belief that he was superior over his classmates, far more intelligent, and was special. And in 8th grade, he would begin to go to school in a suit and carry the Communist Manifesto with him. At 18, he would have few friends he would share his radical ideas with and would sport a long leather jacket daily. Between December 2006 and January 2007, Pekka's parents sought help for his depression and anxiety by trying to have him evaluated at a psychiatric outpatient clinic, but this was declined because his symptoms were seen as relatively mild. Instead, they were advised to start him on antidepressant medication before considering hospitalization. Pekka told an online acquaintance that he would not be attending his upcoming military service and sent her several ominous and violent messages of the stuff he was planning to do, but she didn't take it too seriously. He had previously used SSRIs inconsistently. At school, Pekka was regularly bullied, and classmates noticed disturbing shifts in his behavior, but said that they received the same amount of bullying as he did, but reported to a youth worker that he acted menacingly and said they would die in a quote-unquote white revolution. One teacher later described him as a radicalized student who showed interest in both far-right and far-left ideologies, not really picking one side strongly. Pika had a number of online accounts, including 2 YouTube accounts under the aliases of Natural Selector 89 and Sturmgeist, on which he uploaded videos about violent school incidents, including the Columbine High School massacre, the Waco siege, the Tokyo subway sarin attack, and bombing during the invasion of Iraq. He would also state that everyone on Earth was praising fake gods, the wrong gods that don't exist, and that the real gods are human beings, especially the one talking to you as he stares at the camera, believing he was the Antichrist, followed by pictures of burning churches. Social Darwinism was his idea of reality. Social Darwinism is a set of ideologies that applied Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection to human society, arguing that survival of the fittest justified social inequality and competition. This set of ideas was used to promote the belief that the wealthy and powerful were fitter and deserved their success, while the poor were seen as inherently less suited for society and lazy. It was often used to rationalize and justify policies such as imperialism, racism, and the opposition to social welfare programs. He even had beef with YouTuber The Amazing Atheist, TJ Kirk. TJ would even make a reply video to his comments calling Natural Selection 89 a subpar human, also using his platform to warn others about these dark, type-minded individuals on YouTube that promoted school massacres and glorified loser killers, calling them sad and pathetic, but also rather dangerous to their community. Amazing Atheist called it out correctly, predicting the future, as Pika would go on to commit a gruesome crime not too long after. This all most likely triggered Pika for being called out, explaining his insane responses. YouTube did end up wiping his account, but he made a new one called Sturmgeist, where he would post videos of him shooting his legally obtained firearm. Commenter IKillYouAll667 said, "Wow, you named your gun? You're getting to be more and more like Eric," in reference to the Columbine shooter. November 7th, 2007, Pika uploaded his final video, Joe Killa High School Massacre. It starts off by showing an image of his school, then special fake transitions to pics of him pointing his weapon towards the camera, and on rapidshare.com, he would post documents translated into English of his attack plans for his high school that he was set to carry out. At approximately 11:40 a.m., Pika Eric Avinen entered Joe Killa High School's ground floor main hallway and began his attack. From gangster SpongeBob on gas station t-shirts in the 2000s to AI HD gangster Gumball in SpongeBob in 2025, nothing is new underneath the sun. But why? Recently, I've stumbled upon tons of cartoons from Nickelodeon to Cartoon Network that have been gangsterified with the help of AI, from sipping on some scissor to making profitable cooks with Jesse as Patrick. Nothing's off the table when it comes to this cartoon cinematic multiverse that Instagram and TikTok have created, a demon child. But history does repeat itself. Remember the Bugs Bunny gangster try-hard art, as well as these other ones depicting innocent old-school cartoon characters from Looney Tunes as mafia bosses? Whoever pioneered this started a trend. All the AI did was make it easier to give the people what they already seeked for, what they wanted. I guess the harsh contrast of a colorful beloved character actually breaking out of its given mold and practicing free will really piques people's curiosity, as these AI generated clips are going mega viral, with some saying they would pay for this to be transformed into a longer series. One comment saying, "If they don't make this illegal, Hollywood will be completely irrelevant very soon. I would pay to watch a longer movie version of this." A reply to SpongeBob in Vietnam. I see this coming in a couple of years. I believe that sooner or later people will be able to cheaply produce enough AI generated content to make long form movies or animations and then paywall them just like streaming companies, or just straight up post it on TikTok or YouTube for ad money. But this time the categories you would be able to choose from would be infinite, because that is what AI is good at, producing artwork very fast. Though some criticize the value of the art because of this. Not only can you get SpongeBob in wartime, but SpongeBob as a depressed lighthouse keeper who begins to be haunted, or Gumball in a Quentin Tarantino type film. The possibilities are endless. Even if they get sued into oblivion, there are so many fans of these cartoons. With AI tool access getting cheaper and cheaper, you get non-stop content on your favorite niche with your favorite characters explaining it all. This is already going on with AI voices. On TikTok, you can find hundreds of videos of AI Peter from Family Guy giving you philosophical advice, teaching you about geopolitics and the stock market, all while someone completes a Minecraft parkour obstacle over and over again. peak humanity. SpongeBob and Patrick are literally teaching people about the correct Christian stance on weed, and the masses are not only loving it, they're eating it right up. They are having serious discussions in the comment section about it, with one guy straight up quoting scripture. "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. If you're smoking, then you're not sober." And reasonable stances like, "Moderation is key." Damn, this one was an eye-opener. We also have Mordecai and Rigby giving us Harvard-level business knowledge, to Benson giving relationship advice. This content is endless and have entire pages dedicated to fulfilling the demand. But it also begs the question, will this cause any long-term harm? First of all, we know animation takes a lot of time and thought put into it. Every drawn thing within the frame was put there with a purpose by a human. If kids grow up with AI-generated cartoons as a norm, what would those filler details do to their brains in the long term? I'm talking about the background filler stuff that AI tends to do a lot of when trying to, create a title for stores or products, just being random letters or blurbs. We already know that content does have influence over children. For example, the whole viral trend where people on TikTok and Insta would show how their kids that were born and raised in the United States speaking English with an American accent, after watching Peppa Pig, they would begin to speak with a heavy British accent. They picked it up. Now imagine if Peppa Pig had random filler stuff in the background of the cartoon that made no sense or had no meaning. Would kids then begin to apply this to their own artwork and way of thinking, believing that it's normal for background stuff to be a nonsensical mess? This is probably brain rot for adults as well. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years they come out with a scientific journal saying it advances Alzheimer's or something, warning adults not to consume too much AI-generated content. But AI is getting better, so maybe that will fix itself? Kids shouldn't be watching this anyway. I think the closest thing we had to this back in the 2000s were YouTube poops, but those were low quality and chopped, not as aesthetically pleasing to the eye. This is on a whole nother dystopian level. There's also the no context aspect of these AI-generated media. They are often posted as is, with no description or hard narratives, just straight action, which, sure, that's good for retaining attention, leading to success for the content creator, but is it good for a developing brain, or just a brain at all? I remember SpongeBob getting similar criticism from intellectuals claiming it caused short attention spans and was nonsense that wasn't educational. But at least the SpongeBob was human-made art and had layers and deep meaning behind episodes that led to some good thinking. AI-generated art created by who knows who, and what intentions they have for the viewer. Take for example the account KidPowerHQ, recently discovered by Raymundo for posting what looked like friendly animations created with AI, depicting kids eating cheese pizza and whatnot, standing for CP. Being a dark innuendo for something inappropriate, CSAM materials. From a glance to a parent, it looks like your average children's program, but for a certain sect of depraved individuals, this is a dog whistle for something sinister. There's also another trend going on where people create kid-friendly looking AI animated content, if that even exists, in the theme of Italian brain rot, in the effort to then jump scare the children watching with graphic gore adjacent content. Here's someone with a fresh TikTok account shows us how they are planning on doing it to scare brain rot kids on YouTube Shorts. One top comment replying to this tactics is, "This is actually messed up. Why are you guys saying to add Funky Town? It's just real gore. It's not funny. It's just messed up." One commenter even ended up giving tips to this mystery poster, saying don't do the lagging effect they could notice. Now imagine a world where high-quality human-made art becomes a rarity, something expensive, and only unblocked through expensive subscriptions, and a world where PBS Kids free educational entertainment is defunded, and the lower classes lift with AI-generated media made to advance profits. Will the IQ of our nation go up, or will we fulfill the prophecy as told in Idiocracy? They wore Crocs, by the way, America's favorite Walmart slippers. Another popping strange niche in the brain rot AI community is Black Despicable Me and Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, I know that sounds completely insane, where they use AI to make the famous animated characters black. people in the comments calling it African AI TikTok, as the backgrounds are also depicted as huts and dirt, which some in the comments are saying is racist, as this belongs to a niche of memes that just use black people as the butt of the joke, like the infamous black boy in a wheelchair meme used heavily in the TikTok comments, or the Down syndrome black kid playing basketball meme. This is a whole category of AI creations now, and really reminds me of how races were characterized throughout American history for entertainment, always being cartoonishly exaggerated, features and all. Once again, history is repeating itself. Okay, but those are AI cartoons or animations. People are also creating AI horror clips, which are beyond unsettling, and it being created by AI is even more fitting, as the nightmare blend of AI trying to generate nonsense with human intervention to fit a gothic cybernetic aesthetic creates something truly unique in the realm of horror media. Mixing a computer with a head, it's like stepping into another world and bringing back the footage, though it is mainly up to the viewer to interpret, as the meanings behind the posts are vague, and some could just be labeled as horror slop, with little to no meaning behind it, other than being an art piece. Also using old internet mysteries like the guy everyone sees in their dream, and making them come to life. I don't think AI art is going anywhere anytime soon. It is here to stay. Does this all count as brain rot though? Or should we respect it as legitimate art? We don't know exactly what parts were purposely chosen to be there by a human being or by an AI, leaving a question of how much human intervention does there have to be in order to consider something art when creating with the help of AI tools. I think the brain rot universe of Tung 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 Sahur has solidified the idea that these AI generated characters and aesthetics, these realms, can be commercialized, with it blowing up and turning into a whole money pit. The TikTok shop literally sells figurines, and other places sell the themed plushies, even going as far as taking the show on the road in the form of a theatrical performance. Yeah, they had their own concert in Lima, Peru already, and it sold out. Shout out to them for grinding it out, I guess. This is where we are headed though. AI art is being normalized and taken seriously, and it's come to life. And it doesn't even need a proper lore or storyline to sell. Just create an interesting character with an interesting name, and you may have the next big hit on your hands that other people will then take and capitalize off of. The ultimate ironic twist, as the major controversy against AI generated art is that it's stealing from real artists. The Ava Wood case. In the quiet town of Baldwinsville, New York, Ava Wood was the kind of girl everyone noticed, but not for the reasons you might think. She wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy, but when she stepped onto the soccer field or walked the halls of Durkee Junior High, she carried something with her, an energy that made people feel better just by being around her. Coaches said she was a natural leader, the kind of teammate who never gave up on a play or a friend. At just 14 years old, Ava had already become a core part of her community. Teachers loved her. Her friends said that she was the glue that held their group together. This was a girl who had her whole life ahead of her. So when Ava didn't show up for school one Friday morning in January, people noticed. Her mom had texted her the night before. No reply. Then again in the morning, still nothing. That wasn't like her. She was responsible. She answered. Concern turned to dread, and by the time police entered her father's home for a wellness check, it was too quiet. What they found would leave a permanent scar on the community. Ava was gone, found in her bedroom with a fatal wound. Her father, Christopher Wood, was also dead, another gunshot wound in a separate room. And just like that, the image of a loving dad and a happy daughter shattered into something darker, something far more terrifying. It came out that Ava's parents had separated the year before. Her mom had reported disturbing behavior from Christopher, including stalking, harassment, threatening messages, but despite it all, there had never been a formal arrest, no protection order, no legal line drawn between Ava and the man who was clearly unraveling. Just 16 days before the shooting, Christopher purchased a gun, legally, quietly. No one stopped him. No red flag system intervened. And 2 days before, Christopher Wood told Heather Wood, "This is how it ends for us." On the day that it occurred, Ava had spent part of the day with her father, Christopher Wood, who had visitation rights. According to reports, she texted her mother later that evening saying goodnight. It would be the last time anyone heard from her. Ava's mother, Heather Wood, began texting Ava that morning like usual to wake her up and check in before school, but Ava never responded. That was unusual. Ava was responsible, punctual, and had no history of skipping. When Ava didn't show up to Durkee Junior High School that morning, the school contacted her mother. At this point, Heather tried to reach Ava and Christopher again, but still nothing. By 8 a.m., Heather called 911 and asked for a welfare check at Christopher's home on River Point South, where Ava had been staying overnight. Officers from the Baldwinsville Police Department responded and used the key provided by Heather to enter the home, finding them a gruesome scene. The support by the community after it was made public was tremendous, with friends and family sharing pictures and stories of Ava. It seemed all too much, and it may have been, because these accounts posting tributes to her and remembering her didn't have any ties to her or actually knew her in real life. These were fake accounts making all these statements. These pages were from strangers who never knew who she was in real life. At Stay Strong for Ava Wood was one of these strange new remembrance tribute pages for the girl, making over 200 posts about the matter. And if you were to check the followers, they were all Ava Wood accounts made to commemorate her life, but nobody knew who was behind these many bizarre new accounts that didn't actually personally know Ava. But somehow, they had pictures ready to post of her with heartfelt messages saying rest in peace, all interacting with one another like they were fans of this 14-year-old girl who wasn't even remotely famous. It became a meme to just pay tribute to the girl, and some knew that they were crossing the line, admitting that they never knew who Ava actually was, but still made edits of her like that was their best friend, an almost parasocial relationship with a girl who wasn't even famous, but was only recently known because she was a victim of a horrific crime on behalf of her dad. #spreading awareness were tags used to justify it all, as these accounts gained thousands of followers and clout. Police even had to step in to warn community members that scams were going around of people acting like Ava Wood's family members asking for money for a fundraiser. Magic Bullet Freak Accident. On September 29th, 1991, at the Dallas Pistol and Revolver Club in Texas, 15-year-old Leland Harold Trey Cooley III was sitting in the lobby of the Airgun building, wearing a white baseball cap and just hanging out with other spectators while his father, Leland H. Butch Cooley II, competed outside on the pistol range when a freak sequence of negligence and bad luck turned a casual day at the range into a forensic horror story. Out on the 15-yard line, a competition shooter named Dan Smith stepped up with a heavily modified .45 caliber pistol, tuned like many competitors' guns to fire faster with a lighter, shorter trigger pull, and loaded with his own homemade ammunition. Overpowered rounds built around hard steel core projectiles lubricated with red wax and pushed by an extra hot powder charge that could send them screaming out of the barrel at around 1,200 feet per second, faster and more penetrating than typical handgun ammo. Smith pulled the trigger and the first shot went off as normal, but during the recoil before he could reset, a second round discharged unintentionally while the muzzle was angled higher than the target. That one accidental shot, fired in a fraction of a second, barely missed the wooden backstop structure and then cleared the dirt safety berm behind the range, a berm that was only about 12 feet high instead of the roughly 20-foot standard many ranges use, reportedly sailing over it by just a few inches. Past the berm, the bullet punched straight through the aluminum siding of the airgun building, entered the storage room, missed the broom and pipes by just inches, struck an interior wall, ricocheted off a ceiling tile, then plunged downward, passed through a plaster wall, and after all of those ricochets and penetrations, still had enough energy to hit Trey in the temple through the front of his white cap as he sat in the lobby innocently, dropping him instantly. He was rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, and doctors fought to save him, but after 6 hours he was pronounced dead. At first, investigators, including Detective Tom Pease and crime scene investigator David Taylor, weren't even sure where the shot came from. They considered the outdoor range and also the nearby railroad tracks as possible sources, but found no physical evidence or witnesses supporting the idea of a shot fired from the tracks. Forensic firearms expert Larry Fletcher collected pistols and ammo from all the competitors, firing test rounds for comparisons, and found that many shooters were using non-standard handmade .45 caliber steel core bullets and modified pistols, which made the job harder because a lot of bullets looked similar, but the bullet recovered from Trey's head was in an unusually good condition despite hitting multiple surfaces, confirming it was a very hard custom projectile, and it showed smudged rifling marks consistent with high pressures and heat from an overloaded powder charge. The key clue was lubrication. That bullet carried traces of red wax, and among all the ammunition tested, only Dan Smith's rounds used that distinctive red wax, which tied the fatal shot back to his gun. To make the story clear for the court, Trey's father hired attorney Mike Schmidt and 3D forensic reconstruction expert Steve Irwin, who used laser trajectory mapping and animation to recreate the bullet's path from Smith's firing position up over the too short berm, through the flawed safety waffles, loose wooden boards that should have been backed by steel or concrete but weren't, into the building, through the storage room, off the ceiling, and down into Trey's head. Investigators also found multiple old bullet holes in the aluminum siding of the airgun building, proving that stray rounds had been escaping that range for some time, and that the danger was known but ignored. In the end, the shooting was officially ruled an accident with no criminal charges because there was no intent to harm, but it was also blamed on a combination of negligence, competitors using modified firearms and overpowered homemade steel core ammunition, and the club failing to maintain basic safety standards for berm height and backstop construction. Trey's family sued the club and the shooters for negligence and ultimately received a civil settlement reported at over $3 million. The outdoor range was shut down, and the club redesigned safety measures around the airgun area. The case was later featured on the true crime forensic show Forensic Files in the episode titled The Magic Bullet. Try GF. In 2024, a Redditor was bored and began searching random stuff on YouTube, hitting random letters, trying the YouTube slot machine. What he found was something much sinister that he never thought he would find. He searched up the letters TryGIF or TryGIF and began to scroll down to see what videos were suggested. Nothing too surprising at first, so he decided to search again, hitting the back button, back to YouTube's home menu, but this time, his search bar suggested some random assortment of emojis alongside the term TryGIF. If you click on any of the recommended searches, content related to children show up, like car surprise egg. Though at first it may seem innocent, the Redditor believes that these are content that predators like to watch and are dog whistles, a lingo only they know, secret words, keeping their favorite videos hidden under certain searches you would only accidentally stumble upon, hidden right on the surface of the internet. But keep in mind, these are only videos of kids reviewing toys under the specific search term, so they're innocent. But to them, it's a material that they like to watch. Going back and even changing things around to TryFG this time, or TryFig, it will take you to even darker content, with 6 different accounts using the same video titles under TryFG, stating, "You did it, congratulations," within the video. The Redditor stated that they found videos related to cannibalism and much more darker, sinister stuff when using this phrase in the search. They also believe that they saw the infamous but distorted version of the Dark Cartel video under the name of Funky Town, using the search term as well, where someone's face is taken off. Searching up the given username of this mystery channel that seems linked or connected to this term, there's tons of other creepy content, especially in this playlist titled Pilzer Super TV, where LZW unlisted videos can be found, most likely the same person posting all this creepy content, some of it Elsagate inspired, where Prids try to hide adult themes and kids media directed towards children, like this cartoon pixelated one with strange voice modification, or this doll one. All of this is unsettling. There's also brainwashing type of content, where trigger words are given to whomever is willing, tying this back to Pilzer. The name of the playlist containing eerie content, it is in reference to the town in South Carolina, where this original poster may be from. This whole mystery also reminds me of the Pipergate incident that happened around 4 years ago, where this creep decided to post videos of this girl called Piper, that he most likely didn't know, and decided to add a strange voice to it, similar to this.
Someone stab me in my kidney. I am not. I am going into toxic shock. Someone stab.
So, you guys, hope you like it.
Another strange video depicts the LZW person fronting to be a 14-year-old trying to invite an adult over, sort of predator catching Gideon style. So what is he, a Dexter type of guy? Evil but with a semi-good heart? Is he gonna Dexter this 25-year-old man as a punishment for his crime? Art or not, this makes for a great Netflix series. Anthony Anderson, known for his comedic roles in films and TV shows from Kangaroo Jack to the series Blackish, as well as some TV commercials, he has been able to stand the test of time as a celebrity that will stay here. But in the midst of all this Diddy and Epstein news that is taking up the public spotlight, people have been going back and trying to find the strange things celebrities have said in the past, on TV, on air, things that could expose them today as weirdos. Well, they have found a strange clip of Anthony Anderson saying something so abhorrent and plainly bizarre that it's almost unbelievable that he admits to it. While interviewing Lindsay Lohan, he allegedly begins to kind of flirt with her while broadcasting live on air, asking questions about her love life. He yells that she's single when she gets awkwarded out about the matter and laughs, but then she blurts out that she is of an illegal age for those that are old. Saying that exactly. Hearing that, Anthony states that some people are into that and like him young, then alludes that he himself is that person, making one of the most awkwardest moments on TV, outing himself as a predator, and some believe allegedly trying to give a hint to the teen television superstar that he is interested in her. The crowd is laughing during all of this, by the way.
Every day's freaky for me. You're sick and you just kissed me on the lips with tongue?
I didn't kiss you on the lips.
All right. My children and I, we loved you in The Parent Trap. And you've grown up a whole lot since then.
Uh-oh.
I have something I'd like to add to your collection, and it's me.
Oh, my God.
Aside from entertaining me in your room, what gentleman will be at the new pad with you?
No one.
I'm just talking about, like parties.
No, I don't have a boyfriend.
She's single.
But I'm illegal for people that are old.
Some men like them young. We ain't gonna mention no names, but I'm one of them.
This whole admitting to it on camera and trying to normalize the behavior is similar to the not released Epstein interview clip that has been making its rounds on Twitter and TikTok, where Epstein is voluntarily interviewed by Steve Bannon and having a good old jolly time. Steve Bannon, of course, was a senior advisor and chief White House strategist in Trump's first term, making him a well-known guy. 15 hours of footage is believed to have been unreleased, though Steve has released clips, and in one of these clips, Jeffrey Epstein states that he truly believes that the world would be a better place and will be once women are in charge of everything. Bannon then straight up confronts him with the allegations of his abuse and how contradictory it is to his comments. And he admits that he's a predator, kinda, without saying it directly, but holds firm in his opinion. This whole interview is shot professionally and in high definition, and it looks documentary and television worthy, almost as if Epstein knew that he would get mega famous for his crimes and wanted to clear his name and or normalize his actions so he doesn't seem as bad. Hey, he's just like all of the other creep celebrities that are worshipped and adored by people. This is all part of a much bigger theory that this is in fact trying to be normalized in mainstream popular media, with some out there theories on TikTok claiming that Trump and or all politicians in general on both sides of the aisle will eventually attempt to bring down, if not get rid of, the age of consent in order to keep the wealthy, political, and famous powerful individuals that have been tied to this whole Epstein trafficking sort of crimes out of legal trouble, as these positions of power collapsing would cause too much chaos. If the Epstein files were to be released fully without anything redacted, would cause a national security nightmare. Sergio Rasta's disappearance. The Sergio Rasta case never sat right with me. His self-titled channel stopped posting at some point after gaining weight and having a kid, which were topics he openly discussed with his community about and how he felt bad about it. And instead, he began going live, trying to sell iPhones on the low for very good prices. Prices that were almost too good to be true, as people who ordered from him would soon find out that the Apple products he sold was actually part of a massive scam that Sergio was pulling off on all of his fans, trying to milk them for the last bit of nostalgia they had for him. He sold them trust and they were willing to buy it, though on his last gambling live stream he would reveal that he badly needed the money, and his audience took notice of his disheveled appearance, and some would say that he was high on something and needed the money to buy more quickly, so instead of making videos, he resorted to scamming his own audience base, and had allegedly made a few thousand at least doing it. This would cause for his own fans to come out against him, even having an encounter where a person looking to fight him stabbed him in the back of his head. His inactivity led people to discover that he had died of an allegedly either overdose or some say car crash. His family was never specific, nor did they owe the public anything, though some theorized that he had faked his own death and fled to Mexico in order to escape the hefty debts he owed. Whatever he did, his death was very private with no obituary, just silence from his channel, with some claiming they see him in Chicago to this day, out in public, in the grocery store. There was one update on his Facebook that gained suspicion because it was in the year 2020, leading people to question the truth, asking, "I thought you were dead." Though finally his girlfriend would come out to confirm that he did indeed pass away and was not still alive, though many still speculate that he's still alive and that they're fronting for him because of this quote-unquote massive debt that he owes allegedly. Pacatelas. Pacatelas was a Mexican variety/comedy TV show on the infamous Televisa channel in the mid-90s, and if you didn't grow up on that, let's say that this was one of many like-minded shows where there was high energy and a bright, colorful setup for maximum entertainment. It's most associated with Paco Stanley and Mario Besares as on-air hosts. They were suspected of being coke users due to one scandal on air that occurred when they were dancing like chickens. They were moving too much, and I guess both of them didn't notice that a bag with a white substance had fallen on the ground for the entire audience to see. As they were just having fun, getting pumped up and doing push-ups, it slips right out in front of them, though they were extremely distracted, probably from taking said substance, and it was on screen long enough for many to notice. Mario did eventually notice and tries to discreetly put it away, but by then it was too late. He stood up from the ground nervously with a dead look on his face, knowing that he just exposed himself. Even Paco got very nervous, trying to cool down from the incident and telling Mario to just stop doing the push-ups and act normally. Years later, in 1999, the duo went to the restaurant El Charco de las Ranas in Mexico City. They were not as successful as they were when they first started, but their TV show was still on the air on Azteca TV, a popular Mexican channel. After finishing their food, Paco decided to leave first from the restaurant and head to the car because Mario's leg hurt and he was limping or something. This would be the last time he would see his friend, as he would be shot while in his SUV and passed away. Another one of his colleagues also died from this attack. A police investigation found coke tools alongside his person, and his body tested positive for the substance. It was said that Paco was making deals with powerful people in the Mexican cartel, specifically Luis Ignacio Amezcua, and that he never paid them back, leading to this tragic outcome. But another theory states that Mario, his co-host, was actually the one responsible for all this, and that he set him up, making a deal with Luis, explaining why he waited until Paco left the restaurant first before heading out. Many also make the claim that Mario was jealous of Paco because he was adored by fans of the show, compared to him, who got little praise. Mario was often the butt of the joke for Paco, making fun of all his mistakes, like the coke incident. In other show moments that may have built anger in Mario's heart towards Paco is the birthday episode where Mario was supposed to be celebrated, even bringing in his kid and wife to the set, though this may have been a mistake, as Paco cracked the joke that dug deep. Paco stated that Mario's kid looked more like his genetics, not Mario's, and proceeded to ask the kid who he believes he looks like the most amongst the duo. Of course, the kid said his own dad. But Paco pretends like he's his dad and holds him up, telling him his dad's right here, referring to himself, cracking jokes about sleeping with his wife when he's out of town as well. This all stuns Mario as he looks defeated, disrespecting Mario right to his face as Mario stares away in anger. It makes sense why he may have had a deep issue with Paco and wanted him out of the way. It's also speculated that Luis may have funded the series and decided to take Paco out in order to own a greater sum of the wealth it had accumulated over the years. Devani Escobar. This is the last photo ever taken of her by her taxi driver. After a long night out with friends, she was never seen again. Devani Susana Escobar was 18, a law student in Nuevo León, Mexico, and her case became one of those stories that feels like it was built out of a single haunting image, a young woman standing alone in the middle of a highway at night, lit by headlights as if she'd stepped out of the world for a brief moment, and then the world never let her step back in. On the night of April 8th into the early hours of April 9th, 2022, Devani went out to a party in the Monterrey/General Escobedo area with friends, taking a Didi there, the Mexican version of Uber. Sarai knew Devani for a couple of months now, and Ivone met her for the first time that night. They hit up a store to get some liquor as they were planning to attend a party, and then ordered a Didi again to head to the party they agreed on going to. The driver's name was Juan David, dropping them off at this party at around 1 a.m. They ended up having good chemistry with the driver, so Ivone exchanged WhatsApp info with Juan David in case they needed another ride home. And so they get off the car normally, encountering a group of guys heading to the exact same spot they were heading to, El Diamante, a private party venue, joining them into the party. 1:30 a.m. Through the CCTV footage, something strange happens. Devani can be seen walking out of El Diamante alone. Her friends are not present. 4 men can be seen catcalling her in the footage as she walks by. Then we see her go back inside the venue, partying into the morning. It was reported during this time she was crazy drunk and just out of control being goofy, locking herself inside a bathroom. They were causing issues at the venue, as she started crying to Ivone for ditching her at the party. Ivone, knowing her friend was just too drunk to be in public, called the Didi driver Juan David to come pick her friend up, but by then something had also occurred. 3 a.m. We see action on the CCTV. Someone is chasing Devani, appears to be male. She looks completely uncomfortable. Her friends luckily see this and come to her defense, but a group of guys quickly huddle around them, obstructing the view of what exactly is going on. At around 4 a.m., her Didi driver Juan David finally arrives to pick her up. She rushes into the taxi and they leave after a quick chat with Ivone and that guy that was chasing her, though it is really hard to make out what exactly is going on. A while later, a CCTV farther down the road from the party venue reveals to us that they never actually went to her home to drop her off immediately. They were parked on a road just talking to each other. Then he drove towards the highway, and just before getting on it, Devani decides that she needs to get off, telling David to pull to the side. She proceeds to get out to the middle of the highway on top of the divider and just stares into the distance, zoning out, causing the taxi driver to be confused and take a picture of this 3-minute fiasco she was on to send to her friends, explaining why he couldn't complete the ride, and then he left, needing to earn money to live. He would go on to say that he felt guilty having to leave her there, but that it wasn't his full responsibility. He ended up texting Ivone, asking if Devani made it home safe. Her reply probably made him sick to his stomach. We still haven't found her. You may be asking, the highway has to have CCTV, right? And yeah, but it only captures her leaving the divider in the middle of the road, nobody else, almost getting hit, but then making it back to the sidewalk. Another CCTV camera captures her running towards a motel, looking within the restaurant building through the glass and just acting strange. Is she trying to hide? It looks that way because she was gone into this corner, not being seen for 20 minutes. Then we see her one last time in grainy footage, walking away from the corner of the motel, never being seen again. So I guess her final photo is different than the last moments she was captured on CCTV, but that's the way the internet has framed the case so far. But I guess this CCTV footage could be her technical final moment ever being seen. Mario Escobar, her father, quickly came to the conclusion that it had to be the taxi driver Juan David, as he was the last person to see her alive, and pointing towards that CCTV footage where they were down the street from El Diamante venue, fighting, or it looked like just arguing about something, as evidence that she was groped and or assaulted by Juan David, and that it was the reason why she got off the car angrily and into the middle of the road, probably traumatized emotional response. A valid reaction if this were true, but Juan David did not take this and went to the media to defend himself from the accusations, giving them the story as he recalls in interviews, stating that the argument seen on CCTV wasn't about anything serious, but because Devani was irritated and drunk trying to fight him. Though she was a light girl, so he put up with it, wanting to get her home safely, simply asking her for an address he could take her to. He ends up texting Yvonne, but she didn't really know Devani like that, just telling him that he needs to get her away from the party as she was causing too much drama, explaining the prior shown CCTV footage of them chasing her down. She had become violent towards guest-goers, according to her friends. Authorities would eventually do a deeper investigation of the last place she was known to be at, Motel Nova Castilla. Exploring the tank underneath the land of the motel, looking down the water openings, they would eventually come across a face-down body deep within the water. The family would need to verify it was her though, but it had to be through clothing instead of actually seeing her, as she had already begun breaking down due to the place she had passed in being moist and hot. A lot of theories were at first put out. She had just been bringing negative attention, and a killer just so happened to be at the right place at the right time. Or it could have been a crooked police officer knowing he could get away with it and took advantage of that. But the most prominent theory explains that in her drunken rage, she had tripped over something, maybe the opening of the water tank, hit her head on the concrete, and passed out. Early on, the Nuevo León Attorney General's office publicly stated that Devani died from a head contusion, blunt force injury to the head, not done by another person, but by her tripping. There was a third-party, non-government forensic report commissioned by Devani Escobar's family, often described in coverage as a secondary autopsy, that claimed her head injuries were consistent with being inflicted by another person, i.e. multiple blows from different angles, also finding that she was most likely abused beforehand. The strangest part is that inside the tank opening that connects both tanks, they found her black purse and a face mask amongst other strange items like a piece of fabric. Officially, the final forensic conclusion that authorities publicly presented was Devani died from asphyxia by suffocation. Specifically, something blocked her nose or mouth. That result was announced in a press conference on July 18th, 2022 by the Mexico City Forensic Institute participating in the case. What's important and why people still argue about it today is that this final report was about the cause of death, not a complete, proven step-by-step account of what actually happened, and it explicitly did not settle who did it or the exact mechanism/timeline. It also contradicts the earlier Nuevo León prosecutor's initial public version that pointed to a severe head blow or accident scenario. YouTube meet and greet. On June 10th, 2016, 22-year-old singer and YouTube star Christina Grimmie, who'd built a massive following online and gained national fame on The Voice, finished a small, intimate show at the Plaza Live in Orlando and stayed behind, like she always did, to hug fans, sign autographs, and take photos. Among the line of supporters was 27-year-old Kevin James, a stranger to her, but a man who, according to those who knew him, had developed an obsessive, delusional fixation on Christina and convinced himself that they were meant to be together. That night, Kevin James traveled alone from St. Petersburg, Florida, armed with 2 legally purchased handguns, extra magazines, and a large hunting knife, entering a venue where bags were checked, but there were no metal detectors, no pat-downs, and no serious barrier between a performer and anyone determined to get close. When it was his turn in the meet and greet line, Christina opened her arms to greet him with a hug, something that defined her connection with her fans, and Kevin pulled a gun, firing multiple times at her at point-blank range. Her brother Marcus immediately tackled him in a move police later called heroic, almost certainly preventing a further disaster, but in the struggle, Kevin broke free, turned the weapon on himself, and died at the scene, while Christina was rushed to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead shortly after. In the aftermath, investigators found Kevin had altered his appearance, isolated himself, and fixated on Grimmy with an unrealistic infatuation, but left no manifesto, his phone encrypted, his computer drive destroyed, and feeding a sense of horror around how silently and easily a parasocial obsession had escalated into real-world violence, and leaving the why officially unresolved beyond a possessive, if I can't have you, no one can mindset. Facebook Live incident. On August 16, 2020 in Cedar Park, Texas, 26-year-old Joseph Deshaun Taylor kicked in the door of his mother's home, prompting a 911 call. When officers entered, he opened fire, wounding officers Jacqueline Keelis, Chris Hister, and Nick Anderson, who were all hospitalized but survived. Taylor then barricaded himself inside with 3 relatives, his mother, brother, and sister in a family pit, as a massive police response locked down the neighborhood. Over the course of the initial exchange and standoff, more than 50 rounds were fired, according to police. What made the incident explode online was that Taylor went live twice on Facebook from inside the house, around an hour of footage total, at points speaking with a negotiator, and the negotiators worked through the night. Just before 8 a.m. the next morning, Taylor released his siblings, and roughly at 9 a.m., he walked out alongside his mother and surrendered without further gunfire.
Hey Joseph, man, how you doing, brother?
Man, what's going on, man? They not doing good. They ain't harmed or nothing, but they would like to leave.
Okay. Well, hey, so I wanted to let you know, man, I went to try to find out about the officers that came in, and all the officers were okay.
Yeah, on the internet it said something about officer got shot.
You know?
That's good to hear.
Hey, Joseph. So, man, I know you don't trust me, man. You told me that earlier. But what can you give me something so that I can earn your trust? Can you give me something that I can do for you?
Yeah, you can give my little sister her phone back and call me from a different phone. That's what you can do.
Give your little sister back her phone?
Yeah, because I don't appreciate you taking my little sister's phone. You got my little sister worried. As long as he got my little sister, she should be safe, right?
But you come out and get checked out, man. Then you can talk to your sister.
I'm working on that, man. Yeah, I keep calling. I'm trying to have a conversation. Once this conversation over, I can work with y'all.
Well, I understand
Can
that,
you
but
understand
you
that?
look at it from...
I understand your viewpoint.
Robert Fulton Elementary School. This Cleveland, Ohio school was abandoned, leading to it deteriorating over time, leaving it for the YouTube explorers to profit off of. Urbix Hill explored its insides, showing us how much the place had fallen apart since his last visit in 2022. The middle was rusting and the ceilings were leaking, looking like a scene straight out of The Last of Us. People who had last gone in there left some creepy writings like "Do not go further." He thought he was alone, but still heard noises around him. Luckily, he got everything on camera, including the fact that he wasn't the only living large creature in that building. Yeah, there was another man in there with him.
Somebody's been living in here. Somebody's in there.
Aparición de un Duende, elf spotted in Mexico, is a popular known pair of videos in the Latin American community that depict a supposed humanoid-type figure like a dwarf, otherwise known as a duende in Spanish, running across and making a brief appearance in the background of these videos. The kids are just playing in a grassy area having fun when out of nowhere a small creature pops out scaring them away, and in the other one, the kids are in the kitchen playing when the dwarf runs behind them in a coat. Of course, these are fake, but at one point in internet history, these were taken seriously. Channel 00390. Active since 2015, this YouTube channel is filled with strange videos. The thumbnails themselves give off a strange vibe, and if you go to the description of the channel, you'll see why. It reads, "Do not subscribe, you bother me. Do not offer me money for affiliation or visualization or other. I am not interested. At best, offer me some typical food of your country." Rather passive-aggressive and random with that last request. What are we supposed to do, send the food via DHL or something? They may be from Italy, as the last sentence is written in Italian and reads, "I like cold girls, but alive." Very ominous. YouTube being YouTube, he now has over 50,000 subscribers. I guess it is a way to troll whoever is behind this project. The videos themselves are cryptic, depicting a couple recorded on security footage secretly, a video that just consists of an image of a woman and a pink puffer wearing heels tied up to a chair, with music playing over it. A video titled Cloudy Day has an opening shot depicting a mannequin with a dirty face. Another one, Test Tribute, Martin Arnold 1989, opening card says Test 1, and a girl walks backwards towards the camera, most likely reversed footage, and just stares at us in a loop. Test 2 has another woman doing the same thing. All this with a machine-like sound in the background looping. The video, Aviana, seems to show whoever the camera person is jump scaring a woman in slow motion with only her face in the shot. They seem to be in a train station somewhere. I have to say the music selection is top tier, and wouldn't be surprised if this was just an art project trying to showcase drone type music they created. Most of the videos mentioned are tame, until you get into it further. Their most popular video, titled Exploring Summer Night Streets, Hookers, where they record women on the street as they slowly drive around near sidewalks. One of them even interacts with what seems to be the driver of the vehicle or the front passenger, taking off an earbud and interacting with them. The filmer seems to just be stopping by and saying hi to them, though in combination with the ominous music they chose to play over the footage, it does give serial killer abductor feelings. La Masquera is also another one of their creepier videos, depicting a woman in a wedding dress with a realistic human mask on, just looking into the camera eerily, and then taking the mask off. Then cuts to a Bill Cosby advertisement promoting Coke that is playing in a futuristic city with flying vehicles, cutting to a scene where Bill Cosby is eating a Jell-O pudding pop, then showing kids eating popsicles, which is a dark and unsettling twist to the video, almost like it's giving off a dark message. Barack Obama with his eyes shut, pentagram in his forehead, and Putin is also making a cameo in this satanic alternate dystopian world. The video, Dad, is the only one that has me thinking, what if this is some kind of mind control experiment channel by the CIA? It starts off by warning us that the video contains breakthrough psychological techniques, showing us a couple staring into a TV that flashes deranged stuff on it. Then explains to us that mind control manipulation is a reality, and you are either the successful manipulator or honest loser, and that most people are never able to truly find themselves, their true selves, and are basically NPCs that can easily break down into schizophrenia. The main thesis of this channel is women, and it's shown in the thumbnails and aesthetic choices for their branding, often depicting some sort of model B-roll footage that they may have either taken from another source and edited it, or produced themselves. And the more you look into the channel, the eerier this obsession gets. They seem to be enjoying filming the women on the street without the consent of the women that they are targeting, while also posting strange obscure clips to the channel alongside all of this weird content. One of the videos is titled You Can't Escape, almost like they're trying to say that subconsciously they want to try to do this to the women that they're filming. The creepiest video has to be Girl Talk Too Much, which I cannot even show. It depicts a cow's tongue hanging by a string, which he's holding with his red printed hands, as he spins it around. Yes, a cow's entire tongue. The Dan Silly Files, self-titled channel Dan Silly would post strange videos where he would creep up on women out in the street. Trying to get a good thumbnail for his viewers, he would just attempt to interact with women any way he thought was appropriate. His first video, titled I Will Grab Women Soon, was posted on June 25th, 2016. Awkwardly speaking about women's appearances in front of the camera, he would get very detailed about their race, and that's just to say the least. He held very extreme beliefs about a woman's place in society, saying things like women are too safe and cuddled by society, though his description section is even more strange, detailing his plan to quote-unquote grab women, and will attempt to do this to any woman he sees, whether they want to participate or not. He acknowledges that what he is doing would be illegal, and that he wants to film said attack he will be doing. In these videos, he is hilariously mostly just ignored by most if not all the women he is approaching. In the first few seconds, they already decided that he was not a person worth interacting with, laughing it off, then walking away from his shenanigans, or he follows them and just focuses in on their boobs with his camera. The grown-ass man has no shame. All this just to find out that he's actually publicly known and made it onto the news as a registered offender for harassing a minor. The time is here. Just last week we discussed the gangsterification and ease of creating AI cartoons and how they have affected real life, even being used for more sinister motives, targeting the young. But even then, it was still hard to produce on a mass scale and required some knowledge of AI tools and how to manipulate them. But eventually, it would reach the mainstream and be too easy to generate animations or any popular media, I said. Eventually. Well, October 1st, 2025, not a few days after, it finally happened. Sora 2 was publicly released with no filter. You could ask it to create anything, even with copyrighted material. And the first things we saw created were animations being twisted into reality or them breaking the fourth wall. From Family Guy to regular show.
Dude, this looks way creepier than the trailer.
Yeah, why is it always yellow in there?
I don't know. Whoa!
Dude,
this place is endless.
I hate it, Mordecai. The walls look the same no matter where we go.
Just keep moving. There's gotta be an exit somewhere.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, and I don't want to know what made it. Dude, this place just keeps going.
I know, and it smells like old carpet and sand.
Keep moving. Maybe there's an exit somewhere.
Or maybe there's something behind us.
Don't say that, man.
Then run faster.
To Pikachu being served up on a platter. This left many shocked as they expected it to be blocked because of it being copyrighted, most notably SpongeBob, which of course would be the first to go viral as it triggers a lot of nostalgia in the general public. Not only that, it kind of humanizes the tool.
The kids will love it. Holy shit.
And brings a warmness that a lot of people would trust, which led some to theorize that this was done on purpose. Yes, some have speculated in the TikTok comments that the copyrighted filter was removed in the first few days in order to start a trend that would shock and awe, drawing in more Sora users, with some quickly coming out claiming that the app would soon begin to add a filter in order to avoid lawsuits, which would eventually happen, but not before thousands of videos using copyrighted characters were produced and reposted all over the internet, creating a multiverse, bleeding into the TikTok and Instagram algorithms en masse. Every other scroll would be an AI-produced clip made on Sora, not only animations. SpongeBob getting arrested for stealing has to be the first clip I saw, and it genuinely shocked me by how good the audio was.
Stop leaning on your knees. Stand up straight for me. You understand you're under arrest for shoplifting and fleeing, right?
Man, I told you I ain't take nothing but some chips. Y'all acting like I robbed the whole store.
We'll sort it out at the station. You ran. That's a felony. You got anything else to
One thing you could quickly begin to notice in these AI-generated clips is, unlike the Google VO3 AI-created videos that have a more glazed, more professional look, these Sora videos were naturally fast-paced and had a somewhat grainy, realistic found footage type vibe, making it look like it was actually real and taken by somebody's old phone or body cam instead of some expensive camera. The realistic feel to these clips is what really gets people and can be seen in the comments, with many not realizing that what they are viewing is an AI generated clip.
Both of you, keep those paws right on the controls. Don't move. All right, listen. License and registration, let's see it. Hey, stop the jet. Stop. Get back here.
The dialogue is impressive. Here we have Gumball and Darwin talking to each other about being inside of an AI matrix.
67! 67! 67!
You can't hide in the freezer section, Gumball! Come back here! Got you cornered now.
It's not over 67! Hey! What is that?
I don't know, but it looks really weird. Should we tell Mr. Dad?
Even though they have now made it extremely hard to produce clips like these using copyrighted material, we have now seen its full capabilities, leaving some creatives worried that their jobs could soon be replaced. Imagine all the creepypastas we could now bring to life. This newer generation won't have to rely on imagination through stories. They could simply generate the horror.
Don't wander off.
I'm checking something.
No, get back here right now!
Oh my God! I'm out!
Cartoons coming out the CRTV screen like in Fat Albert is now reality.
Get out here. Come on, don't run. Stay back. I'm just having a little fun. Hey there, pal. You mind if I come out for a bit?
Not only that, you can also mix media and make one character meet another in HD. This would cause a stroke if someone saw this back in 2014, but this is only one niche of creations in the Sora realm, as history has also been manipulated. They went back in time. Resurrecting Tupac was on someone's mind, as well as Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant, when they were granted access to Sora apparently, just living everyday life as if they made it to 2025.
Will you sign this for me?
You want me to sign right here?
Yes.
Sure, let me just do one thing. Go fast!
And for every other quit asking me to sign God. Whoa, Kobe. 6, 7, that's me, number 6, 7.
Sir, I know, it's coming up, it's not ready yet.
I see the screen, 67, that's mine, let's go.
We just dropped the nuggets, boss, 1 more minute.
1 minute feels like overtime right now.
Mr. Bryant, could I get your autograph?
Man, no, sucker, watch this.
Selling stuff on the TikTok shop and just being like all the other influencers today, they blend in. Could this breed a new category in media, one where people watch dead celebs like they are still alive, living their AI lives and giving them a second life almost, a second career?
You're a baddie.
I could only see the quality going up from here. They also have JFK's point of view right before being taken out by the sniper, giving us a quick update before going to heaven.
Hey, what's that man on that grassy knoll doing?
Looks like he's taking pictures, Jack.
Huh. Just wondering.
It's almost as if Sora intentionally made them speak faster in order to fit the current keep scrolling campaign by the elites on these social media platforms, making the never-ending content slop keep flowing.
Salut les gars, aujourd'hui je vous emmène avec moi, je vais tester un nouveau coffee shop dont tout le monde parle.
Salut les gars, aujourd'hui je vous emmène avec moi, je vais tester un nouveau coffee shop dont tout le monde parle. Apparemment ils font un latte au caramel incroyable.
Just straight AI content to the dome, no time for silence, but it's content nonetheless, giving us interdimensional cable, unlimited channels, kind of like when you used to be able to flip through channels forever looking for something good to watch, except now you won't repeat channels. Whole episodes were created in this brief period that the filters were turned off. Cartman invested in a pump and dump Haktua coin and got cripped on by Freddy Fazbear.
Guys, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I just put 3 months allowance into Haktua coin. Dude, that's such a scam. Gonna get rug pulled, Cartman. Nuh-uh, you guys! It's fake. You're literally just giving your money away.
Mrs. Welch, Haktua coin is exploding. What's the move?
Frog, pull that thing!
Get the champagne!
Kyle is such a poor loser. I'm the smartest investor ever. What? Haktua coin got rug pulled? No! My money's gone! No! Holy crap, Freddy Fazbear!
Regular Show and Chucky did a collab as well.
Nice yard you got here. Be a shame if something cut it short.
Whoa, hey, we don't want any trouble, dude. We were just, raking leaves.
Yeah, knives don't really scream yard work, little guy.
This is starting to remind me of that interdimensional cable meme where the aliens are reporting on stuff on their planet like it's regular. We just so happen to tune in somehow, giving us a peek into what other parts of the universe are like. The concept itself is intriguing, a prediction of what's to come. Infinite amount of entertainment. These Michael Jackson clips are absolutely stunning. They just make your stomach sink because of how alive Michael looks. It's like he never left and made it to the 2020s.
Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm at work, new job McDonald's. Let me show you around. These are the fryers. Listen to them singing. Beautiful, huh? Golden magic. Over here, soda fountain. 32 flavors of happiness. I'll catch you.
Get off me! I'm an artist, man!
Relax, sir. Just bring your hands
You're hurting me. You ain't gotta do this.
Your chicken's looking nice, pal.
Hey, woo! Yo, he stole my chicken!
Got a crispy treasure, can't slow me down. Hot and golden, I'm out of this town. Move, Friday, victory.
Well, get back here.
Run, spin, slide, I'm gliding out the door. Fried love in my arms, can't give it up no more.
An argument being brought forth is that people are being too hard on AI artists, kind of like when 3D computer artists came out with their artwork in the mainstream and were at first not taken seriously, like when the Academy disqualified Tron in 1982 from the visual effects category for using computers. It was kind of seen as cheating during that early era. Eventually it became a norm, but then others bring up the fact that artists still worked on actually creating the assets for that film, and didn't just type out a prompt while eating hot Cheetos. We are heading rapidly into this, and as much as I see the perspective of people that hate on it, I could also see how this could lead to some interesting outcomes, like Stephen Hawking doing mad tricks with his wheels. Where are we heading with this? He hung out with Epstein that one time and maybe talked about deep occult mathematics, who has also now cameoed on show Sora 2, where he finally shows people what he was truly doing on his island.
Welcome to the island. You're not coming back. It's the sound of thousands of you waiting to see what I've got in my hands. This This folder right here isn't just
history through Sora. One powerful thing that this could do is recreate history, like when the Masonic laying of the United States Capitol corner took place, or the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But it leaves the thought, what if they use this to change history? Now they are the winners. Did the Salem witch trials actually look like this, or is it more fiction than anything?
Un poco di sfumo qui. Che il sorriso resti segreto come l'alba sopra queste colline.
Caesar imperati nem contineri. Hold that line, keep her steady. Aye, Colonel. Ice to port! Push it off with the oar! Got it. Keep the strokes even, lads. We'll make the Jersey Shore yet.
Flag slipping, hold fast!
And just off the left side of the tram, folks, you'll see the former queen herself being escorted by the National Guard. That's Marie Antoinette in the pale blue gown. She's on her way to the guillotine platform, part of today's...
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Normal people are now not an issue. It produces most everything realistically, down to the aesthetic. I don't know why, but a lot of these really give me Vine era vibes, like it was taken with a Vine filter or something. Was it trained on Vine data? Also, at first, only boomers fell for these AI generated media, with it mainly staying on Facebook. But now, even some millennials and old Gen Zers are starting to get tricked into believing what they see. The AI brain rot finally spreading to TikTok and Insta Reels harder than ever. Only early adopters are left to suss everything out. Has it finally reached its completion? Was this the evil plan all along?
Where the f are the bananas?
Sir, you need to back away from the cooler. Let's go, out the door.
I don't see any! I'm not leaving till I get them!
Big guy, store's out. You gotta step outside now.
There are also tons of people on TikTok worried that this will soon lead to massive amounts of identity theft and that old people are not going to be the most vulnerable anymore, as these AI tools will give scammers the upper hand, being able to not only convince the most gullible, but now even those who thought that they were on their P's and Q's, saying that the Jake Paul videos are too realistic and that if the watermark wasn't on there, they wouldn't believe it was AI.
As we're here in Mecca right now, that's the Kaaba behind me, and I'm holding this cross because I follow Jesus. First time ever seeing this place in person, and it's unreal. I'm gonna turn the camera so you can take it in, but I want to tell you straight up.
Hey, y'all, look at these nails. Are you kidding? They are so cute. Bubblegum pink, little icy tips, and tiny rhinestones. Like, I'm obsessed. My girl went off. They're giving like princess energy, but also a little danger, you know? Don't mess with me or you'll get scratched. And yes, full...
Even the streamer Neon was surprised when someone took his image and generated clips of him on Sora.
I'm chat. Give me a second. Just booting up the game right.
Yo, why does this look so real? Yo, what the fuck? Chat, why does this look so real?
Police department.
This literally looks like a real video next to me, bro.
Sir, don't move.
Huh? I'm live right now. What's going on?
Turn around for me.
Wait, why?
I've had multiple complaints about the odor in here. It's been classified as a biohazard risk. Hands behind.
By the way, this watermark argument is also causing a stir, with many people removing them and getting away with it on viral clips. Comments stating that these AI media generators need to add more complex watermarks as they are too easy to remove, expressing fears of being impersonated or scammed. I mean, they got Mr. Rogers straight up chilling with Baphomet. SpongeBob lost media. Talking SpongeBob and Patrick were both Talking Tom-like clones that were claimed to have existed on either App Store or Play Store, and like many other obscure applications that once existed on these platforms, they have completely disappeared and become lost media. The only way we know this may have existed is thanks to a screen recording by YouTube account CK the Frog, titled Talking Patrick iPhone-iPod App Review. This video reminds me of all those videos I used to record as a kid on my iPod Touch and how much personal lost media we all have out there. During this era, the iPod was as relevant as the iPhone, dare I say a cheaper alternative. 2 million views later, people are now asking if he had kept it downloaded and kept it on his device in the comments, though he would announce that he had deleted it. Both the Patrick and SpongeBob one did resurface later on though, and people have explored the apps. In a similar fashion, December 1st, 2010, SpongeBob and Patrick are seen in this post drinking chalky milk, stating chocolate mustaches don't last long when you're a sponge. Comic strip style, it just seems like maybe a brief section from a Nickelodeon magazine, or maybe a SpongeBob book. like a sort of dairy advertisement, but digging deeper in the thread, we find that this might be a full-on animated video, and these are screenshots from it. Sponge Sebastian said, "I remember seeing the TV commercial version of that. At the end, SpongeBob solved the problem by putting his entire head in the milk glass." Another post reads, "I just recently found out from someone on the SB Mania forums that there exists a TV version of the Got Chocolate Milk SpongeBob print ad. Basically, it was pretty much the same as said print ad itself, but with SpongeBob at the end solving the problem by putting his entire head in a milk glass. It unfortunately hasn't resurfaced yet, though it might be on a Nickelodeon commercial break video from between February through March 2001. Pushing the interest further, out of nowhere, Sponge Sebastian posts a screenshot of the lost video. The frame depicting a VHS distorted SpongeBob and Patrick gulping down some brown milk. But the exact origin of this screenshot was unknown, with some claiming it derived from a Discord user and that it may have just not been fully uploaded online yet, but that someone definitely had a copy of it on VHS, since it had aired on TV since at least 2001 or near that time frame, according to a Bloomberg publication confirming it actually existed and wasn't a made-up some sort of lost media freak thing. Finally, on October 5th, 2022, exciting update. I am currently in contact with a post-production supervisor who says he worked on both Shanghai and the Got Milk advert. He is going to look through his personal collection to see if he has a copy, and if not, is going to inquire at Nickelodeon Animation to see if anyone has a copy. I'm posting updates in the Lost Commercials Discord, but we'll post in here with any more significant information. The thrill to find it was once again ignited, and eventually Toon Archivist would find it in a VHS tape sold in a lot and posted on their channel, depicting SpongeBob and Patrick fully animated in a Got Milk campaign advertisement, though the high quality version remains missing as the Nickelodeon Connect didn't update us with anything. Miami Mall Aliens. The Miami Mall Aliens incident people talk about happened on New Year's Day, Monday, January 1st of 2024, at Bayside Marketplace, downtown Miami. Reports say the big police response kicked off around 8:30 p.m. at night, and news footage as well as people's footage who were in the area quickly went viral on the internet and on places like TikTok specifically. Due to the amount of police shown in the videos, many suspected that this was just another mass event, possibly the biggest one yet due to this heavy-duty response. And soon enough, there was another theory. The theory was that there was an alien in the area that had been causing terror, showing certain strange anomalies in the footage that had been posted. The majority of the public had come to the conclusion that there were 8 to 10 foot aliens walking around at the Bayside Marketplace in Miami, but they were quickly shut down with this simple explanation given by authorities. It was all just a big group fight that had occurred between teens that had large sticks, who were also setting off fireworks and causing a ruckus. This caused police to at first mistake it all for gunshots and or gang violence, explaining the amount of law enforcement. But did it really call for this large of a response? Is one of the biggest questions brought up by theorists on this topic. This was a ridiculous amount even for a shooting, according to them. Nearby people who were around at the same time that this occurred claimed to have seen other strange things happening as well. They claimed to have seen a strange force field type anomaly that was glowing, and that it helped spawn a creature with legs and arms, and that the police were actually setting up some strange devices to capture these beings, apparently. Others also claimed to have witnessed shadowy figures that were crawling across the mall strip, and that they were very quick. Proof? Well, it's in the footage, supposedly. Yes, this is in fact an alien or multi-dimensional creature, according to expert theorists, and the media has been lying about it after the fact because they are trying to cover up the fact that this occurred, as well as trying to hide the multi-dimensional technology that was used to capture them, a technology that supposedly has existed for a while now, but has been kept secret to the public. After gaining tons of attention, the people nearby supposedly started getting quiet and not wanting to talk to the media as much, with many saying that they were giving off strange vibes when being interviewed, almost as if they were scared to say anything at all about that night. Maybe because they were warned by Big Brother to keep quiet. But how about all those interviews with people who were just joking about the matter, claiming to have been there? Well, they are speculated to be hired actors in order to make this incident more of a funny meme than a serious government experiment, because who's really going to believe a TikTok theory? But what do you guys think about all these TikToks on the matter? Is there a real misinformation campaign around this case? I see a lot of you theorists on the comments in TikTok, and some of you sound extremely convinced that there was in fact either an alien incident or some sort of psychological experiment at a mass scale in Miami. And I get where you guys are coming from on that second theory. What if Big Bro wanted to test if they could get away with a huge public event and then later distort public opinion on what truly occurred? I mean, MK Ultra happened. What if this was testing how Miami residents would react if an alien did come down to Earth and invaded that area, and then after testing to see if they could gaslight them into believing that none of what they actually saw took place? It was all just teens causing mischief. Autotainment. This is in reference to the VeggieTales episode in which Larry the Cucumber makes a startling correct prediction of what entertainment will transform into in the future, stating that in the future the entertainment we will consume will be randomly generated by a robot, similar to what we're experiencing right now with the rise of AI, and in particular the Sora app that allows anyone to generate realistic eye-catching media, using famous celebrities to cartoon characters and animals. One commenter on this theory on TikTok states, creator of VeggieTales had a divine revelation and decided to make Larry talk about it instead of warning us directly. This of course is alluding to the fact that this animated show started off as a hardcore Christian show with biblical themes and entire episodes dedicated to explaining a particular book in the Bible, putting forth the theory that the director of the episode and series had a divine revelation of what the future had in store and warned us through the use of his vessel, in this case the VeggieTales series, leaving many shocked when they come across this clip, believing that Larry really predicted the AI slop that was to come, from the Kirkified memes to all the bizarre Sora AI slop that is thrown up on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. One comment states, "You know, it's crazy. I wouldn't doubt God would put something like this inside of a TV show about him." Owen Hai. She was a South Korean actress, starting her career in 2011 in the film Sin of a Family. The same year, she gained public attention during the 16th Busan International Film Festival due to her revealing orange dress. In 2012, she was cast in a film Marrying the Mafia 5, but this opportunity fell through, so she turned into a YouTuber in the beauty genre, being pretty popular, trying to get a fresh start in a new field, just making regular beauty tips, talking in front of the camera type of videos, though this would be her last venture. 2 days after being live and showing her audience her makeup routine, she would be found dead, puzzling her friends and family alike, not to mention all her loving fans. September 14th, 2020, Oh was found unconscious at her home in Sangdo International Business District by her friend who was just checking up on her. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, but by then it was too late, as she had died of cardiac arrest at 36 years of age, with the authorities concluding that she had taken her own life, confirmed by an autopsy on the 15th. But everything was kept private in that situation, leaving fans with many unanswered questions. They went back and rewatched her last video posted titled In Hai's Nightly Routine Skincare, and noticed some oddities, like her title containing a random number pair that didn't align with the chronological order she put her videos in, jumping from number 45 to 48. Where and what were those missing videos in between? Or did she just accidentally type in the wrong numbers and just left it as is? Fans found this unlike her, as she was more careful and detailed than this. 48 seconds in, there is also a strange error in the video itself, as it repeats a scene over and over again, leaving viewers unsettled, knowing what comes afterwards. Sure, you could explain this one off as a simple corrupted file, but the coincidence of it happening at the 48-second mark just creates an even greater mystery for internet detectives. Was this a secret message, a cry for help, or something much more sinister from another person behind it all trying to tease fans? Watching further, we come across a strange high-pitched second voice. Maybe it was added after as some sort of inside joke, but even her biggest fans didn't understand what it meant, because translating it leads to a bigger rabbit hole, as it translates to "I'm going to die" 1 minute and 31 seconds into the video. Despite this, others claim if you slow it down more, it actually says "wipe it," but many believe it was sped up on purpose as a sort of discreet way to actually warn others that she was going to die. as it sounds rather similar. Another strange voice comes in again later in the video, but it's harder to tell what is actually being said. Ignoring what just happened, the rest of the video plays as normal. This was unlike anything she would ever post on her channel. One thing to note is that she did in fact acknowledge the weird glitches in her video, but not within the video itself, but later in the title, simply asking the viewer to skip over the buffering part, acting like it was a simple computer editing software malfunction. People also find the exact glitch bizarre, as it's repeating a scene that kind of looks like she's getting her neck chopped, I guess, or that she's chopping her neck with a comb. Do you guys think this was a bizarre coincidence or done on purpose? A glitch in the matrix of life? Another claim is that she did this all on her own as a sort of cry for help, 48 being a common number found everywhere in her videos. Maybe she was into numerology and really liked the number 48. The coincidence was too great for some. Though this was her last video post, it wasn't her last one on social media in general. For her actual last post on the internet, she had uploaded a picture of a flower. The caption says, "I guess everyone is seeing this, even the person who said I'm just a body, that he can even use till the end. I have to expose you due to that phrase you used. I didn't want to believe anything else coming out from that mouth." The flower pic had a tag, a popular, well-respected lawyer, Wang Hu. This post was taken down though, and so were the lawyer's social medias. The main theory was that the attorney, Wang Hu, had done something to her allegedly, and she was going to go public with it and make a statement. But before she could, the lawyer played dirty and pulled some strings to keep her silent. Her own family noticed bruises on her body when she arrived at the hospital. This is all alleged public stories going around about them, not proven as a fact. Ori Chef. A Facebook account by the name of Ori Chef had been found to post odd cryptic media with no context. Appearing in 2015, it began posting mysterious horror-like content that led people to believe that it led down a rabbit hole, as it mixed reality with the horror realm imagination of whoever was putting these videos together and posting them onto Facebook. From graphic images to simple creepy clips, the rumors began to circulate that the person behind the posts was a depraved individual and was leaving hidden messages for like-minded people, as they were accused of alluding to CSAM materials and things along those predatory lines. And it's not surprising, as meta platforms have been known as the breeding grounds for these sickos, as the Chris Hansen-like videos depict them contacting and trading info via Insta. Another strange aspect about this account was the friends list. It contained the same duplicate profiles of Ori Chef as friends, meaning that even if you took down one of their accounts, they had many more to go. Coco's normalization of authority. The afterlife in Coco has one thing in common with real life. They need to scan your face and insert your data in a Palantir type system to track you everywhere you go. That's normal in the world. Before you cross to the other side, "Welcome back, amigo," he says, as he welcomes them to a wall made to stop and frisk anyone before entering. Your paper better match up to what you claim, or else you will be denied and chased down by authorities. Law and order are things that held this film together, and you better not break any of them, it teaches, unless you are willing to suffer heavy consequences. You see, this film uses the deep cultural tradition of Dia de los Muertos as simply a backdrop. It doesn't really capture the lore accurately that comes with the religious act. No mentions of the Aztec origins or the differences in populations that celebrate this. Instead, it's more of a creative, eye-catching background but somewhat culturally accurate theme for this Disney picture, simplified for the masses. Disney opened a massive door to Mexican and or Latino consumers with this movie, who reside throughout the entirety of the Americas, including the United States of America. And the one thing they chose to focus on in this film is that enforcement is normal and is moral no matter what. It's almost comical that they would choose this lesson to be taught to Latino kids in America and throughout the Americas, knowing that Disney films are often ridiculed by people for being too quote-unquote woke and liberal. This is coming out of left field, like a great perfect film for Trump's America, like a friendly way to remind the children of immigrants that you gotta do things the right way and obey the government. When they ask for something, you do it, with people theorizing that Disney did this on purpose, knowing the political direction that America was heading. some speculating that Disney was trying to get an attaboy from Trump. But Coco isn't the only film that has depicted the police state as normal and funny family friendly. This has been a thing since Shrek depicted police brutality, with Donkey getting a knee to his neck by the royal police. Rights are given to the elite and a specific group of people, but not to the unwanted group. They are not allowed into the land of the living. The system is always correct and will not allow them in. Hector is given this cold reality as he is dragged away by two officers and never taken seriously by the people around him. He cannot cross the bridge because he got caught. Same ways migrants cannot cross the border unless they have the resources to, like waiting through the 10-year-long process or being wealthy. In this case, in Coco, you need people to leave offerings for you to stay alive in the afterlife, and the more offerings you have, the richer you are in this realm, and the higher is your status, but you can also be a bum like Hector, depicting Miguel as a grateful kid who loves his family and neighborhood, facing little problems in the real world, although in his reality, he is a child laborer, a common tragedy found in poor parts of southern Mexico and throughout. Coco also shows how even when systems do work, the people that have to go through that system, even if they are granted access by it, still have to be scared and worried because they never know when that system could switch up on them. This could be seen in the worry during the facial scan sequences in the film. Even though they are approved and have done everything right, the people crossing the bridge have to make sure to directly stare at that facial recognition system and hope to God that the stars aligned, having a worried look before getting the green light, and showing a sign of relief after being approved. But this isn't only a lesson being taught to kids of migrants, not that it was their intention to target them, but to all kids in general, that facial recognition systems controlled by who knows what, in this case Disney I guess, are normal everyday actions and always right. And if denied, it's better to understand that you are not smarter than that system. Not to mention that it is posed as the morally correct, neutral system that exists in the afterlife, although this isn't even a thing in the actual Dia de los Muertos lore. Not to mention, the border patrol in the afterlife is kind of out of place. Why would they even exist there? Even the picture thing isn't a cold hard rule in the creation of an altar when practicing Dia de los Muertos, as this ritual predates the invention of photography, so it may have simply been included as a sort of reference to the struggle that Mexicans or other Latinos have historically faced with migration into the United States, without having to criticize it directly, I guess. Every US individual is now being tracked, allegedly. There was recently a case where a man was pulled over in Texas, not because he committed a traffic violation or was driving under the influence. It was because of his suspicious driving habits. So did they get a lead from a detective that he had some sort of drug connection and found a route that he would take to deliver it to someone, part of a greater operation? No, Alec was not doing movie level moves like that at all. He was just doing a work trip that he had done many times before, so being pulled over and questioned was a new life scenario for him, as he is a law-abiding citizen. He knew he was innocent. This all puzzled him. What he didn't know was that he was constantly being tracked via his license plates by cameras that alerted the local police that he was a suspicious individual, based on the way he moved throughout the state. It didn't matter if he was driving with family or even in a work truck, it was still marked as suspicious, and they began to ask to search his vehicle, though he is a smart man and decided to exercise his rights, deciding to opt out of the search, so they brought in a drug dog to sniff his truck, and of course the dog alerted, leading to a search on his truck where they found their biggest bust yet. No, actually, they found nothing at all, other than the kids' seats in the back and food crumbs on the floor. And what was found out later is that the police were already waiting there specifically to pull him over. It wasn't that they so happened to be there at the right place and time, catching him drifting, as they said, justifying pulling him over. They literally set it up beforehand. There was also another case recently where a woman was told by police, "You can't get a breath of fresh air in and out of that place without us knowing," referencing the power that they had through the use of flock cameras that were placed throughout the entire city. Flock cameras are an AI-driven surveillance system made by Flock Safety that uses automatic license plate recognition cameras to capture vehicle data, like license plate, make, model, and color. This data is stored in a centralized searchable database that can be accessed by law enforcement and private organizations for purposes such as solving crimes, finding missing people, and tracking stolen vehicles. or at least this is what they claim the majority of this info is used for. The company claims that this data is automatically deleted after 30 days and does not use facial recognition, though many allegedly say otherwise, all alleged, that they trained it to identify different types of people and their body shapes, race and gender, as well as what they're wearing. Flock claims that they mainly only focus on license plates though, but that's up for the public to make their mind up on whether they trust these companies. I remember watching early conspiracy theory YouTube in the late 2000s to early 2010s, and this is exactly what they were warning us about happening in America.
You know why I'm here?
Yeah.
Okay. You drive through the town of quite often?
Nope.
You don't?
No, I work from home.
Okay. You know we have cameras in that town and you can't get a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing, correct?
Okay.
Okay. So you don't drive there, but you've been driven through, what, 20 times this month?
Probably my husband or I.
Okay. But this is you, right?
Both of us, yes. We
Okay.
both drive the same vehicle.
Okay. You're going to stand by, you don't know why I'm here. There was a theft of a package from on Tuesday. Like I said, we have cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing.
Right. Kind of funny because we have cameras on our truck, so we can show you exactly where we were.
Well, I already know where you were. I have it on camera. I have you on camera walking up, ringing the doorbell, taking the package, and literally running away. The megapixel on the new Ring cameras are unbelievable. It is her. It is 100%. It's locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. But I'm just telling you, I know it's unbelievable to you. I guess that this is a shock to you. This is a lot. 100%, no doubt.
Hey,
like I said, it is, well, you have to appear for this.
And there's no way we can see this video or anything now.
If you go to court, you may.
Why can't we see it now?
Because you have not been honest with me, so I'm not going to.
Man confesses to murder during proposal. He gets down on one knee to propose. He set up his camera in the right place to capture the moment. It's a beautiful church. Everything seems perfect as he stares into his soon-to-be wife's eyes. Until, out of nowhere, a random man starts to confess in front of the camera, interrupting the proposal video. He says, I'm sorry, I'm a murderer," claiming that he has taken a lot of people's lives. He looks dead into the camera and sounds totally serious, ruining an intimate moment with an evil attitude. His name is allegedly Bradley, as this is what people near him are calling him by as they tell him off. But he doesn't want to stop, apparently, selfishly hogging the camera space. The couple was able to respond, thankfully, and made an update video.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer.
Cousin.
I need help.
Oh my God, Bradley.
I've killed plenty of people. I do not want to kill anyone else.
Bradley, come on.
I've killed a
Come
lot
on.
of people. Please forgive me.
Come on, cuz. Bradley, look at me. We just came.
Please forgive me. Please, God, please forgive me for my sin. I am sorry for hurting other people. I do not want to hurt another human being as long as I live. I have asked you for forgiveness. Please help me.
Dumb Ways to Die paper version. This is a video found on YouTube depicting a family dancing to the Australian Public Awareness Campaign song that had gone viral, so they made a parody version of it around that time. Innocent enough, you wouldn't pay much attention to it until you start digging into the original poster's account and their life. Jen the Cat, Jen from Montreal, Canada, worked as an actress part-time, posting videos of her cameos and commercials and television appearances online to get recognition for her work, trying to build an impressive catalog, even landing a major background role in Spider-Man 3 and Star Trek Into Darkness. It seemed all great for the part-timer, even collabing with her husband in videos, Vincent Maggio, also a part-time actor but mainly fitness trainer. Her younger sisters were also present in the viral parody, Emily and Lily. All seems good when watching at first glance, and when comparing the other videos she had, this one had outperformed strangely. Living in the United States with a green card, this seemed like a great opportunity, and at this time she could potentially open up a door to a YouTube parody career or something like that. Though Robert Rose would bring up the fact in a blog post that she wouldn't be in the States for long unless something changed in her life and the stability of her immigration status. Her dear friend was concerned, but Vincent wouldn't let this last, as he would seal their marriage officially, allowing her to stay, making home in Los Angeles, California. Everything was perfect, a Hollywood dream. Stability was one thing they did not achieve though, and sadly, as this triggered a hailstorm. In 2014, they divorced, with Maggio falling into a manic state because of this break, but still keeping up with his ex, even going on a Valentine's Day outing together as friends. Jessica, an involved neighbor, knew that he was not being himself. Something had changed inside of Vincent for the worse, referring them to a counselor, but it didn't really help their relationship at all. Tragically, in 2015, in a Beverly Hills apartment, Jen would be found by police deceased from a wound. The person who pulled the trigger was her ex-husband. Filled with either rage or hopelessness, he had done it and then took his own life. Worst of all, the person to find them was not a stranger at all. It was Vincent's own son, 18-year-old Devin, discovering the horrifying scene only minutes after the events had occurred and gunshots rang out. A mind-altering experience. Jen only made it to 31 years of age, and Vincent was 40 years old. Their viral video is still up and available to watch, with only the comments turned off. I don't know if this was done after the fact, but it remains clear that the people we watch online are not in the always happy-go-lucky mood they represent in the videos. The killer in this video, Vincent Maggio, was even dressed as Jason the Killer. Ring footage creepy. She approaches like she had been there many times already, going to ring the Ring doorbell. A cigarette in hand, she looks casual and relaxed, but another man seems to also be interested in what's inside the home, slowly pulling up his mask as he too approaches the door, but while looking out, maybe seeing if someone else is looking at them, but could also be to keep privacy, as they may have noticed the camera on the doorbell. Someone comes to the door, opening it without a care in the world, then proceeds to interact with the woman at the door, all while the guy in the yellow is mentally preparing to charge towards the door with the weapon in hand. But he fails, as the person inside slams the second door in time and locks it. I think most of us have had dreams similar to this, someone trying to break into our safe space, whether that be a house or an apartment, and not being quick enough to slam the door and lock it. This is someone's nightmare, and it actually happened to the person in this Ring footage. Luckily, they were able to be fast about it and avoided what could have been a sad ending, as these cowards were desperate enough to attempt to rob a family's home and get away with it, knowing all the lights were on and that they were being recorded. The woman didn't even bother to cover her face. She didn't care about anything clearly, and this could have been deadly.
Hello, do y'all have a sign I can use my car on? And y'all's the only one that got a light on.
No.
You don't?
Sorry.
Sad Satan, Obscure Horror Corner, was a channel that started to gain traction around 2015 for its series of video game playthroughs of the deep web horror game titled Sad Satan. In the game, we see dark, creepy halls as haunting audio blares, and the screen flickers with distorted, chilling images. This led to many other people interested in the game blowing up its popularity to the point of a video game blog caring enough to reach out to the creator of the series, Obscure Horror Corner, for an interview. In this interview, he would go on to reveal that the download link for the game was given to him by an anonymous source that allegedly claimed it was originated on the dark web. He even went out of his way to post that exact download link for the original game on Reddit r/SadSatan. Though, if you were online at that time and clicked on this download link, nothing would happen. It was a broken link and it was done on purpose, and Redditors called him out for it, saying that this was all a sham. Though he claimed that he just did it because he didn't want to let people down and be responsible for the mental health issues that the real game would cause to someone. The guilt would be too much for him to bear, apparently, saying that some of the images were straight up illegal and could get someone into a lot of trouble. On 4chan, we got the other side of the story, where a man claimed to be the original source, finally revealing the OG download link, but this time it had way more disturbing media than at first believed, with some who downloaded it saying that they got viruses from the file, causing their computer to act very strangely and die. So if there was no original video game, that could only mean that the YouTuber faked it for views. But if that's true, where did the footage come from? How was it made? Boss Baby is Republican. Though considered a children's animated film, Boss Baby is now mainstream and used in memes and whatnot on social media platforms. Around 2020, when Biden became president of the United States and beat Donald Trump, there were an explosion of memes that put forth the theory that someone or a group in DreamWorks Animation Studio modeled Boss Baby after Donald Trump directly, although the filmmakers insist it wasn't meant as a direct parody and was more of a coincidence. Many viewers noticed parallels between the Boss Baby and Donald Trump. The movie features a baby in a suit who craves power, uses the phrase "you're fired," and is voiced by Alec Baldwin, famous for his Trump impersonations on Saturday Night Live, all details that led people to think that the film was taking shots at Trump and Republicans in general. Though these may seem like jabs at the president, with many claiming this was an anti-Trump film, a lot of people on the opposing side believed that they were actually being pro-Trump, and that the group behind the film were Republicans, as there was a clip in the Boss Baby series poking fun at liberals, where the girl says to the Boss Baby, "I'm sorry, I didn't know your bro was liberal." Something that stood out to people, as this was meant to be a children's show, though this was a pretty popular joke in general at the time, but for adult shows. Of course, the director of the film has never come out with his political opinions, so we may never know what intentions they truly had.
Did anybody else know that the Boss Baby franchise is a Republican thing? Watch this.
The garbage baby. Maybe he's just misunderstood. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize your brother was a liberal. A liberal.
The fuck? The Boss Baby is an hilarious, heartwarming movie with strong pro-life, pro-family, pro-business messages. What is this? A very strong Christian moral worldview set in a cartoon, comical world with positive references to heaven, angels, Jesus, prayer, sacrifice, and reconciliation. What the f?
It's like negotiating with North Korea.
Bro, what?
Hacker trolls family. A family in Florida experienced something strange with their in-home security camera. December 2019, they heard what sounded like someone's voice coming from the speakers. Someone had hacked into their security camera and was watching them inside their home, first triggering the alarm to scare the man in his kitchen, and then saying something about Shaquille O'Neal, and making racial comments asking if the man's kids came out dark or light-skinned. Clearly, it was just a dumb young guy trying to troll through the camera, talking crazy because they were feeling safe because he's at home behind a VPN or something. It seems like the hacker has been doing this many times before, even talking about one of the kids that they had been watching inside the home, creeping the dad out. The hacker even asks the dad to go to a specific website, and if he does so, they will be left alone and not spied on anymore. But at that point, the dad just unplugged the camera.
My main man, Shaq. It's your boy Chance on Nold. Welcome to the Noldcast. Wait, so did your child come out black or kind of light skin? I don't know.
What?
Nothing? Is your kid a baboon, like the monkey? Wait, does your child look like an Oreo? Can you bring a web browser up on your phone and then type in the website that I tell you?
No.
Why? I'll leave you and your family alone. Or I could do this.
Maria Sabina wax figure. In this other video out of Latin America, we are presented with the wax doll of Maria Sabina, a village wise woman known for her mushroom ceremonies, where people in the 1950s would claim to have connected with a higher dimension and talk to God, although mushrooms before this were often used to treat illness. In the high secluded mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico, where Spanish is the second language. Many 1960s celebrities, including Bob Dylan, John Lennon, and Keith Richards, were rumored to have visited Maria Sabina for her mushroom experience, after the approval of Robert Gordon Wasson, Vice President for Public Relations at JP Morgan in the 1940s. He studied hallucinogenic mushrooms, publishing papers on the matter, visiting Maria Sabina, and taking part in her ritual for his studies. All funded by the CIA, by the way. Wasson's 1956 expedition was funded by the CIA's MK-Ultra subproject 58, as revealed by documents that John Marks obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. The funding was provided under the cover name of Geschdeckter Fund for Medical Research, which Wasson credited at the end of his later life article about the expedition he took to Oaxaca to visit Maria Sabina, a ritual that has been going on since ancient America, even depicted in indigenous books, so it's no wonder why they would have her legend live on in wax form in a museum. A man deciding to capture the statue was surprised when it seemed to come to life for a brief moment, changing its gaze like it was a living being. Cigarette still in mouth, she loved smoking. The guy is left stunned. Monuments are often made out of some sort of metal, but this one is highly realistic, an interesting choice for such a mystical legend, as it does look like it could move at any given second.
¡Ay, hijo de su puta madre! Güey, ¿qué pedo?
The Russian sleep experiment in real life. Fatal insomnia is a rare progressive brain disease where the key problem is damage to the thalamus, a deep brain relay that helps regulate sleep, alertness, and autonomic functions. Despite the name, it's not regular insomnia that just gets really bad. It's a neurodegenerative prion disease that disrupts the brain's ability to generate normal sleep and maintain stable body regulation, and it is ultimately fatal. There's no proven cure or disease-stopping therapy right now. Fatal insomnia usually doesn't show up in childhood or as a lifelong bad sleeper situation. Most cases begin in mid-adulthood, often somewhere in the 40s to 60s, not only affecting sleep, but overall brain function, causing chaos in the body. And it starts off like regular not being able to sleep type symptoms, but with time it spirals into not being able to sleep at all. Reported survival after symptom onset is often around 1 to 3 years on average, though ranges vary across series. Ricard Siagian was able to document this progression and post the videos onto YouTube, but he didn't start off with content like this. He was a healthy man with a deep love and interest in art, as seen in his multiple videos where he draws. His sketches consist of tattoo designs with a blend of indigenous design. Born in September of 1968 in the town of Balija, Sumatra, Indonesia, he would move to the United States of America in pursuit for better educational and career opportunities. But like most immigrants, this was a big feat and needed money now. This was 2008, working at a chocolate factory and then Whole Foods in Philadelphia in Pennsylvania state. By 2013, he had his own art project he would work on to the side, posting his tattoo artwork on his YouTube channel. His artistic inspiration came from the people he was raised by, the Batak peoples of North Sumatra, Indonesia. It's best thought of as a whole system of art tied to ceremony, ancestry, and protection. His son would also appear in his videos, clearly important to his life. January 7th of 2016. His video description reads, "Hi, my name is Ricard Siagian. I have been suffering from a health condition caused by heavy neurotoxic protocol that's causing damage to my system, such as mitochondria depletion. But the most debilitating and certainly life-threatening condition from it is complete inability to sleep. This tragedy happened last summer, August 2015, in the United States after taking 2 weeks course of 13,000 milligram fluoride and genotype toxic-based antibiotic. I can't mention the medicine name here to avoid discomfort for the third party. I guess many of you have guessed it, but if you want to know, you can email me personally. And around the same time as this tragedy, I had to go back home to Indonesia for family emergency. My mother was hospitalized and later passed away. Now I am stuck to bedridden stage from this condition. My complete inability to sleep and other complications from this poison has pushed me down to a very rock bottom, physically and mentally and financially. This tragedy stole my life, my son, my shape, my family, my dream, my future, and my real positive personality. Only one thing that I could wish as my last hope is pluripotent stem cell treatment. But the challenge is money. Since this injury happened, my brain become wild awake 24/7 for a year now, and I have lost natural sleeping onsets because of the failure to register." The video consists of him talking to the camera, explaining with tears in his eyes that he needs urgent help as he cannot sleep, and his speech shows it as he stumbles over words and takes a while to process his thoughts. He ends up explaining that in August 2015, in Philadelphia, he developed a UTI, and his new boss at the time, knowing Ricard didn't have health insurance, gave him old antibiotics that were prescribed to him that he never ended up using. The first day that he took these antibiotics, he felt better. But by day 2, he started feeling bad again, experiencing heart palpitations, and one of his hands contracted and went stiff. Knowing you are not supposed to suddenly stop taking these antibiotics you started, he soldiered on, thinking it was just a side effect he had to deal with. He ultimately did take all of the pills after a couple of weeks, thinking it would clear his UTI, but resulted in him not being able to get any sleep. He noticed that after stopping the medication, he couldn't sleep at all. In the midst of this health problem, he received a call that would just add to the stress. His mother was sick and dying from a chronic condition back in his home country, Indonesia. Missing his father's death, he knew he couldn't do that again to his parents and left the States to visit her. On that visit, he would take advantage of the healthcare he had there and went to find out what was wrong with him at the hospital. They ended up just prescribing him benzos to fall asleep, but when taking it, he found that it was only powerful enough to knock him out for about 2 hours, and those 2 hours, he said, felt like a coma, completely knocked out, and the nightmares that came along with it were traumatizing. After 4 months on the benzos, he refused to take any more, as he now had severe anxiety and he knew how dangerous the drug could be long term. Ricard knew he was going to die soon and begged any doctor out there to help treat him and or use his body after he was gone to study the degenerative part of his brain that isn't allowing him to sleep, explaining that his body sort of shocked him, causing pain until waking up when trying to fall asleep, and that his mind wouldn't turn off. Also in the video, he puts forth his plan to not only try to reach out to the media to try to get their attention and get a story out there, but to also document his journey as it progresses getting worse for other people to witness. In his first updates, he complains of spine pain and vertigo, saying that for hours at a time, he feels as if he's free-falling from a high building, showing off his skin shedding a lot more than usual, and noting that it's most likely his cells dying as he cannot get a full night's rest. He also seems to have aged noticeably compared to his initial video. Conspiracy Theory Fact was one video where you could tell his mind is also going, but is still there to talk about interesting things, where he starts off by defining conspiracy theories as not a true theory, but a term that the powerful use to refute facts as something crazy or foolish, stating that conspiracies are in practice everywhere, that the illusion that we call everyday life, normal life, going to work, paying taxes, electing a president, is just not real life. They are just norms we have ultimately accepted as truth, and I think this was his revelation, an epiphany he had as he laid there on his deathbed. Apart from this, he posted a lot of trying to sleep videos where he attempts to get some rest, constantly disrupted by his own mind. The 3rd of November 2016, he gives us an update. Nothing is helping him. He is bedrotting and wants to end it, but says he doesn't have the will to do it just yet. A few posts later, he tries to explain why humans are here on Earth and draws the solar system, explaining that all the holy books like the Christian Bible and Quran tell us the same story, that we are not originally from Earth and came from outer space, specifically Planet X, but others have different names for the planet, and that NASA is trying to hide evidence of this. The Nibiru or Planet X theory is a modern doomsday story that claims a hidden planet or brown dwarf-like object is on a secret, highly elongated orbit and will eventually swing into the inner solar system to cause catastrophe, either by colliding with Earth or passing close enough to trigger earthquakes, tsunamis, and a pole shift. He then shows us all the sleep aid he had taken prescribed by a doctor and says it doesn't work on him as he doesn't have classical fatal insomnia, stating once again that he is on death's door. Message to neurologist. In this video, he recaps his story about taking the antibiotics that his boss gave him because he didn't have health insurance and needed to pay rent instead. It's meant to be sent to a neurologist in China that says he has treated patients like him before and had a successful outcome. This encouraged Ricard enough to open up a GoFundMe campaign to save his life, but it didn't end up getting much traction. This video just once again shows that money could have saved his life in a healthcare system that doesn't prioritize the poor. Instead of taking care of his health, he had to focus on paying rent and making ends meet with his son. His final 3 videos were titled What is God?, HIV Fact, and The Bending of the Law by the Government and Lawyers. A lot of people say he was losing his mind in these final videos, but I think he just wanted to get things off his chest before passing away. He was a smart man and was able to convey his message in English, even if it was a second language he had to learn. In the video, What is God?, he tells us that God could mean many things depending on the person's perspective. In his perspective, God is the universe, proceeding to ask big questions like, what is outside the known universe? In the HIV fact, he brings up the theory that it was a man-made virus created by a big pharma mafia, all legally allowed to be run by big governments. Finally, in the last video posted to his channel titled The Bending of Law by the Government and Lawyers, he asks a question that sounds hypothetical, but it also sounds like he's trying to get legal advice in order to get the green light to do one big final act to get money and send it to his son. He asks the question, if a British person smuggles drugs into Indonesia, would they have to be sentenced to death just like any other person would be sentenced to if they were found guilty, or would the British government have to step in and say no, you cannot sentence them that harshly? It's kinda sounding like a Breaking Bad type plan he has in his head, mentioning that what if theoretically they don't transfer cash to make it cleaner and instead give you a luxury car, specifically stating a Maybach Excelero. Then the video ends. Was he totally insane? I don't know. One thing out of all of this info that stood out was the fact that he wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this wasn't a classic case of fatal insomnia, but instead was triggered by an antibiotic medication he had taken and crossed the blood-brain barrier, stating that this is not fatal familial insomnia. I don't have a genetic history of this in my family, neither sporadic fatal insomnia. It's very clearly that it hit during the pitch of the side effects of this neurotoxic protocol. I experienced the whole episode of my attack by myself during the regimen and allowed it to enter my body to cross my blood-brain barrier, causing rapid damage and disturbance of my sleeping regulation and central nervous system. Since then, this constant 24/7 awaken/arousal never switched back to sleep mode anymore. I never have a sleeping problem before this tragedy. This is not a disease. There's nothing needed to be taken out, killed, or to be inhibited, such as bacteria, virus, fungus in my brain. Instead, the damaged cells have to be replaced. It's not as simple as shutting the brain off using dangerous sleeping drugs that will make more damage. He would eventually reveal that the drug that made him like this was named ciprofloxacin. At first, he didn't reveal this because he said that he didn't want to get into politics and or cause issues for the company, but he did spill the beans, and it's not a shocker either, as ciprofloxacin has been noted to increase the risk of ruptures and tears in the blood vessels of certain people who take the drug, with the FDA warning it could cause permanent nerve damage and is known to sometimes cause brain/central nervous system and mental health side effects, from relatively mild symptoms like dizziness or insomnia to rare but more serious reactions like confusion, hallucinations, delirium, or seizures. These effects are recognized in FDA safety communications and in ciprofloxacin's prescribing information, even allegedly causing one patient, allegedly named Mateo Rojas, to become paralyzed from the waist down and experience severe mental health issues and go blind. The term for this reaction and the people who take it is called floxed, and there's a Facebook page documenting the people who have gone through this reaction in their body from allegedly taking this drug. Once reading up on all the risks, the negative side effects do pair up to the things that Ricard had mentioned in his videos, from the sensations he felt in his spine that felt like burning to the tingling sensations. It makes sense allegedly why he was adamant about it causing his sleeping issues, and the burning back sensations that he described make it so much more personal. I remember taking an antibiotic that at the time I didn't know I was allergic to. This one of course prescribed to me directly, and the first symptom I felt was a burning sensation on my entire back. It debilitated me so bad, I bought a cup of ice from Starbucks to pour it down the back of my shirt in order to cool the burning down. I cannot imagine feeling that every day. I too wanted to proceed taking the antibiotics, as it's a rule I knew you shouldn't break, but once those side effects kicked in, I knew I had to call a doctor to make sure I could safely stop. Jesse's eyes moved. In this video posted by El Cucuy TikTok account, there is a Latino kid playing alongside his brother with stuffed animals and toys, speaking in Spanish, just using imagination and role-playing. He then shows us the Jesse from Toy Story doll sitting there as normal, pretending like his stuffed animal is talking to it. Then, all of a sudden, while acting out his imagination, Jesse's eyes shift upwards. The doll moved its eyes, frightening the kid instantly. He blurts out, "Lousy doll," and walks away shocked. Sister Hong. This story rings something like a Black Mirror episode where we are confronted with what is the frontier of the darkest things on the internet. It's 2022. Sister Hong was the name of an online dating profile that many men had scrolled by and decided to interact with in Nanjing, China, population 9 million. Quickly gaining popularity on the app, getting matches, they wanted to meet up in real life. Though her profile pics were slightly unsettling, somehow guys wanted to come over to Sister Hong's place and have a jolly old time, despite her strange look. But what the guys didn't know was that she was actually playing a game with their life. She had hid a camera in her room that she had invited all the guys to and saved the footage of their intimate moments, selling it to people over Telegram. It was a popular niche that people paid to get access to, and like any business, she had to keep her fans happy to keep the money flowing. One thing that she made sure of was to keep the lights on. Even though some guys didn't like that aspect, she wouldn't budge. They had to be on, and also when they came over, they had to have a present in hand, often food related. From cooking oil to a watermelon, Sister Hong needed to fill her kitchen, or it was just a power move. Hundreds of these videos were uploaded by Sister Hong until eventually they began to leak all over the place. Internet detectives took charge in trying to identify the men in these videos and found great success. Some stayed quiet while others went to the public, calling them out on social media for cheating on their partners or for just meeting up with a woman in the first place. They were exposed online for friends and family to see, which is just really embarrassing. Sister Hong's antics ruined countless lives, not only the men she interacted with. Soon enough, people became familiar with the faces and the videos and found that many men were just regulars of her business, and they still had no idea they were being recorded and uploaded for the world to see. But even stranger was the way Sister Hong would act on camera, always masked up and pale, wearing heavy clothing that was not revealing even slightly, leading many to suspect that it was actually a man dressed in women's clothing tricking these guys, and this theory was confirmed by Sister Hong directly, though she strictly kept it a secret from the men, with one guy even finding out and leaving the place scared, to then returning back to the room and trying to get a good look at Sister Hong's face to see if he wanted to stay or not, I guess. Popularity got to them, and eventually Sister Hong was investigated by local authorities, leading to no new update on her side, until a report from Jiangning police was published, revealing that Sister Hong was actually a 38-year-old male that was pretending to be a woman to have meetups with men that he met over dating apps, filming them without their consent. Sister Hong's name was quickly changed to Uncle Red, and on Chinese social media platforms, her videos blew up again and became memes that people would copy. It was the Sister Hong challenge. It became part of mainstream Chinese culture to crack jokes about the matter. Abandoned mine found footage. A public service announcement titled "Stay Out and Stay Alive," warning those thrill seekers who like to get into trouble to not explore abandoned mines, has to be one of the creepiest PSAs ever put out. It warned those that watched of all the dangerous possibilities that could take place, like the mine collapsing in on itself and trapping people in without any air, to warning about possible abandoned explosives going off. The most unsettling part about this message is the found footage and the story that goes along with it that is presented to us, capturing an accident that occurred on July 4th, 1998. Labeling it as trespassing footage. It starts off with a group of dudes calmly explaining how instead of listening to the sign right outside of the mine that reads "Stay Out, Stay Alive," they are going to explore it anyways and be dumb, risking their lives for the thrill of it. Curiosity killed the cat, and so they started down towards the mine, climbing down a janky ladder and walking deep into the mine, going further and further in. Not scared at all, unsurprisingly, they all seem confident in surviving this endeavor, despite seeing various signs of decay and possible collapse. They proceeded to explore even more, getting lost in the maze of the mine, but confidently declaring that they for sure know how to exit the place if needed. When having to cross a piece of wood over a drop into the abyss, they notice a rope hanging from the wood and believe that if they climb down that rope, it will lead them to the main shaft. The boy Adam seemed to be proficient in climbing rope like many boys and volunteered as tribute for the group, going at it like a good old boy and building up the nerve to actually attempt to do this, and he finally gains the courage and clings to it only for it to snap and break itself from the wood, leaving Adam to freefall into the black 65 feet hole, hitting the lowest floor. He was totally out of it, but still strong enough to breathe. His friends, scared for his life, exited and contacted emergency services, who were able to rescue him from the shaft alive. This could have been a lot worse and taken a darker turn if they all decided to not do anything about it because of the risk of getting in a lot of trouble, or if Adam had died as soon as he hit the floor.
Yeah, we gotta remember where we're... Okay, we got out here.
Who painted these X's and stuff? What do they mean?
Kidding.
Okay, they're all got an X on them.
So you can go this way.
One's got an X. So it's also got that.
Hi,
Mom. Might not make it back.
Mom and Dad, forgive me.
Ledge you can
How far down does it go?
down to that ladder. See where it's laying down?
Where
Like a good 30 feet.
Where the am I gonna hook this?
I don't know. There's about 600 feet. Put it like he's doing it. Yeah.
How am I gonna get this thing down there?
It looks sturdy. Has been. Oh. Adam! Adam! Oh. Adam! Yeah. Oh God.
Oh God! Somebody help!
Adam!
The Area 51 Call. Art Bell's program Coast to Coast AM was an eerie but interesting show that many loved to tune into when craving mystery type content, and it's not like they had a YouTube back then, so this guy was a unique, fascinating perspective on the world. One moment in the show's history had been remembered by many due to the secret information shared. In September 1997, he sets up a special Area 51 employees line on Coast to Coast AM, and after hours of wild calls and theories, the moment arrives that basically becomes the internet's favorite piece of found footage audio. A man comes on sounding like he's barely holding it together, crying, rushing, telling Art he doesn't have much time because they'll triangulate his location soon, and then he drops a story that feels like it crawled out of a paranoid nightmare. He claims that what people call aliens are actually extra-dimensional beings, that they've infiltrated parts of the military, and that the government knows disasters are coming, and that major population centers are meant to be wiped out so who's ever left is easier to control. Take a listen.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art?
Yes.
I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and they're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. I'm sorry, the government knows about them. There's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population. They want the major population centers. The few that are left will be more easily controllable.
El Pirata de Culiacán, the Pirate of Culiacan, was the online nickname of Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, a Mexican teen who blew up on social media for his daily drinking habits and crazy partying. People his age loved watching him as he had a goofy personality, saying anything that came to mind without caring about the opinions of other people, talking trash about anyone. He would also kind of roleplay as a rich narco kid, posing with expensive guns and driving nice vehicles, even playing with exotic animals like a tiger. He was well connected due to his viral videos that had been seen all over Mexico. He would also do big lines of coke on video later in his career, not the drink, which even further pushed him to fame. This time, even throughout Latin America, he looked like a spoiled rich kid with a narco dad, getting anything he wanted, and giving us a sneak peek into the narco lifestyle online. But what people didn't know was that he was actually born into severe poverty. His dad left his mother before he was even born, and she would end up leaving him and his sister too, getting a family member to pick them up. Maria Rosales Torres, his grandmother, would be the one to take the responsibility. Without any income, she began selling food on the streets and working in the farm fields picking fruit to support the kids. At around 12 years old, Juan Luis would help his grandmother out selling food on the streets as he didn't really like school, dropping out in 7th grade middle school. This would land him with the bad crowd of kids in his vicinity and lead him down the road of many vices, ending up in a rehab at age 13 and then running away to Culiacan, Mexico because he didn't want to be locked up again in a rehab. Some rehab centers in Mexico are known for involuntary admissions, especially the informal/underground ones called anexos, where they kidnap you off the streets and then force you to stay at the rehab center. In his new life in Culiacan, he would just do odd jobs like cleaning the windows of random strangers, stopped at traffic, and organizing chairs at large party venues in the city, but he wanted to be a rich kid the entire time, the one that flicks the lifestyle funded by cartel money. Though he never really got accepted into one, they thought he was just a little kid that was getting too ahead of himself. He would end up making friends in the scene and would be invited to club parties everywhere throughout Sinaloa, just getting hammered at 14 years of age. He was a known binge drinker by that point. One day, one of his boys decided to film him downing a bottle, and that is where it all started. His online presence skyrocketed because of that one video, showing him at first looking fine, then getting absolutely wrecked, but still coherent in some videos where we could see his personality shine on full display. He got chattier towards the camera, and his fan base got even stronger, being used as a meme people could relate to, until they couldn't anymore. In one of his viral drunken rants, he decides to call out one of the most powerful cartel leaders in Mexico, El Mencho, who the United States has a $15 million bounty out for. El Pirata would tell him, "Suck my yeah," in the video. One person near him even tells him to chill out, knowing the power that the cartel has. The video unfortunately went viral, and many people in the comments were warning El Pirata to watch his back, as he had now become a target. Though he went on and lived life like normal, making his final online presence on a vlog with YouTuber Hot Spanish, where he just chills with the guy and then throws his girlfriend's phone off the balcony for being on it too long. They then made plans to head over to a bar, Mentados Cantados, where they were planning to start off the night of partying. Getting drinks like regular, he thought it would be another normal night, until the group heard commotion in the front of the bar. El Pirata on his phone in the corner was the target, being shot 15 times. He passed away, and someone at the scene had taken a picture of his body, quickly spreading on social media, showing how sad and dark his final moments were. He had passed at 17 years old. Rumors began to circulate that it was for sure Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, the cartel that El Mencho ran, carrying out the mission to show what disrespecting the cartel gets you. Double R, a member of the cartel, had supposedly climbed the ranks because of this mission he had completed, becoming a leader in the group, and this was spreading around town, tying him to the case. Of course, he wasn't caught because police are paid off. There is also another theory that the YouTuber Hot Spanish had something to do with his location being found out so quickly. The theory puts forth that Hot Spanish was not a victim in the shooting because he had tipped them off for a price. His retelling of what happened that night is also in conflict with the story the smaller YouTuber Ben El Gringo, who was there at the scene, gave to the media. They would also talk about him like he was a stranger in interviews after the fact, giving more to the theorists that believed El Pirata was set up. The mall ceiling collapsed. Imagine it's your day off and you just want to relax and go to the mall for some shopping with the family, and after stop by the food court and pick something delicious to eat. It seems like it's going to be a good normal day until you hear some rumbling and look up, only to see that the ceiling is falling towards you and your loved ones. Powerless to what's coming, this is what happened at the Rio Plaza Trujillo shopping center in Peru. Though this beautiful food court looked nice and maintained, beautiful design honestly, it was only an illusion of safety, making all the families feel okay with being in there. They trust that the project manager that constructed the building actually did their job right and didn't cut corners to save money, although that ceiling could cave in at any second. I mean, if I went to Peru and saw that they had a Popeyes, Papa John's, and a movie theater in the mall, I would be like, wow, this is so American. I trust being in this place somewhat. I wouldn't expect it to collapse because it's just not too sketchy. They also had a family entertainment type mini park named Mr. Joy, where they offer small rides and have other fun activities. Just checking out their YouTube channel, you can tell how creative they had to get with so little space they had to work with, which explains why so many families and young people were at that mall when this occurred, and makes this case even more of a tragedy. They even had their own mascot, just a dude in glasses named Mr. Joy. Family outings shouldn't be regretted, but in this case, they were. On the night of February 21st, 2025, Rio Plaza Trujillo was doing what malls are built to do, pulling in families, kids, date nights, people killing time under the bright mall lights, until the building itself turned into the story of the year in Peru. Around 8:40 p.m., the roof structure over the food court came down in a sudden violent collapse that also hit the children's play area, dropping debris across the space that moments earlier was just noise and dinner and laughter. The confirmed toll later rose to 8 dead, including children, and dozens injured. with reporting describing a collapse spanning roughly hundreds of square meters, followed by frantic searches and dust clouds. A lady tells a reporter that her family members, 35-year-old John Chavez, 25-year-old Daniela de la Cruz, and niece Alicia, only 2 years old, were in the mall when the collapse occurred, and that they weren't picking up the phone, nor were they checked into any nearby hospitals. They were gone for hours, never returning home, most likely located underneath the rubble, she cries. One girl that was there at the scene of this collapse was able to film herself being stuck within the debris that fell and then being rescued. You could also hear the screams of a man yelling out for help in the background. In the end, authorities were able to confirm that the lady's relatives had indeed passed away in the collapse. The mother of the 25-year-old Daniela de la Cruz, who had gone to the mall with her husband and kid, yelled out to the media that she needs their support to get justice for what they had done to her family, stating that the only thing they wanted to do was shop and take the kid to have some fun and eat at the food court. It shouldn't have ended this way. Another family tries to look for their male family member, Christopher Rodriguez Cruz, rushing to the scene. They talk through a gate anxiously. The father asks if his son is still alive. The woman responds that he is alive, but that his right leg had to be removed in order to save his life, as it was crushed by a large piece of metal during the collapse. The father is left shocked but relieved, and his other son tries to calm him down, reacting to the news. In the end, it turns out that they were closed in late December 2023 after municipal observations about the electrical system, including officials saying that they found electrical panels in bad condition. Then the mall reopened in January 2024 after Rio Plaza described the issues as quote-unquote minor observations and said everything was in perfect condition. A municipal commission's final report argued the disaster was avoidable and pointed to problems dating back to the 2016 construction, including design issues that made inspection/maintenance of the round design difficult. It was also suggested that the roof may have collapsed due to the heavy water that was accumulating there, as there was no proper working drainage system that served efficiently. She saw bodies in a truck. This video comes from Michoacan, Mexico, a place known for its cartel influence and violence. Posted on Facebook sometime around 2018, a lady that works at the gas pumps can be seen crying and frantically pleading to the people around her to take her home, as she cannot control her emotions. The people around her are trained to not bring any needed attention, as this could escalate the situation to something more dangerous that could put all of their lives at risk due to being seen as snitches, rats trying to alert police, something that the cartel would definitely not treat kindly. The lady, still not calm, proceeds to say that she saw a pile of kids in the back of a large trailer truck that was supposed to be carrying cooking flour. She claims to have accidentally seen it when going towards the back of the truck to see if it was being fueled correctly. The video alone is not graphic, but her cries for help are very eerie and unsettling. She tries to warn the woman that is comforting her to never lose eyesight of her child and keep them at a close distance, because the things that she saw in the back of that truck were so terrifying that it may have rewired her fear-based instincts in her brain. She also begs to them that she wants to simply forget it all and return to her children at home so she could protect them. What she witnessed really traumatized her, but those around her seem to have seen similar atrocities committed by the local cartel, hence why they aren't totally surprised and scared as she is. They know keeping everyone quiet in that area saves lives. The story goes that after the incident, the lady tried to report it to authorities, but ended up being ignored and then later went missing and returned without life, with a note attached reading, "This is what she gets for opening her mouth and being nosy." A few years later, it was also discovered that the cartel did indeed have mass graves that mimicked Holocaust-type systems, in order to get rid of victims completely without any trace. These mass graves went viral on TikTok, where people from Mexico have said that they have always heard stories about places like this, but didn't think that there was any truth behind the legends. People have now tried to bring awareness about these mass graves and the potential of them maybe having their missing relatives or friends, as the people that have vanished in Mexico without a trace keeps on growing. There were literal incinerators found at these mass graves, which is just completely disgusting. There was also a case similar to this one in Mexico as well, where 43 students on a bus completely disappeared. Yes, 43 people vanished without any lead for a long time. As journalists and human rights groups dug deeper, the case turned from a horrific crime into something worse, a state mystery, with signs that the army and federal police had been monitoring the students in real time that night. phone records tracing calls between police and organized crime, and parents and relatives of the missing refused to accept the government's historical truth that they had just been at the wrong place at the wrong time, caught up in cartel violence. Marches in Mexico City with photos of the 43 held high, black and white faces that became icons. The chant, "Vivos se los llevaron, vivos los queremos," echoing through the streets as they demanded their sons be returned alive. International experts invited to review the case said over and over again that key witnesses had been tortured into giving testimony that fit the official narrative, and that lines of investigation pointing towards military involvement were being blocked. They were most likely targeted because in that moment they stopped being just students on a bus and looked at least to the people in power in Iguala like a political threat colliding with an organized crime operation. The Ayotzinapa school already had a long reputation for left-wing activism, protests, and clashing with authorities, so local politicians and police saw its students as troublemakers. That night, the mayor of Iguala was reportedly paranoid that any protest would disrupt an event his wife was holding. And there's evidence that orders were given to contain or stop the students before they could get there and protest. Grateful Doe. The year is 1995. They thought the drive was going to be like any other. That is until Virginia State Police arrived at the scene of a car crash near Emporia, Virginia. The Volkswagen's face was wrecked as it had crashed into trees and the windshield was shattered. Nobody was in the front seats anymore as they had flown right out of the front due to not wearing seatbelts. Police found them ejected away from the van. Michael Hager was the first to be confirmed deceased. He had only made it to 21 years of age, attending University of South Carolina. He had a promising future, probably looking forward to the 2000s. As for his passenger, sadly the incident had deformed him so much that they couldn't verify who he was at the spot. And when trying to fingerprint him, he didn't have any records that matched. When police went asking the family, they were clueless as well to who he may have been, even though they had both been wearing the exact same t-shirt when found at the scene. You would think they were just great buddies with a long history of enjoying the Grateful Dead rock band, but they couldn't find a lead, other than 2 tickets to a Grateful Dead concert they were planning on attending. Also a note that read, "Jason, sorry we had to go. See you around. Call me. 914, Caroline T, and Caroline O. Bye." A strange drawing could also be seen on the note. Authorities tracked the tickets back to a man in Pennsylvania, but he was just a ticket reseller and couldn't remember who he'd sold them to. They knew what his first name was, but couldn't pinpoint exactly who he was, going on for many years as John Doe, or sometimes Grateful Doe, due to the fact that the last thing he had on him was the band's shirt. Thanks to modern tech and awareness, in 2012, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children created a facial reconstruction, making it easier for internet detectives who wanted to help identify him, specifically Redditor Zombie Gray. They started a subreddit where users could post unknown info pertaining to this case, attempting to find maybe an old picture that matched. The missing poster they created had an estimated age range, tattoos he had, and more, linking back to the subreddit. This image had spread across the web and led to one interesting person named Steve, who believed that Jason's full name was Jason Callahan, moving closer to a discovery. In 2015, this post was made. "OMG, this is my son, Jason Callahan, from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I've been looking for him all this time with no luck. Today, my other son saw this Facebook page, and after all the years of praying for him to just call me or come home." It turns out that at 18, Jason had left his mother's home and went around the country traveling any place he could. Like a lot of people his age, he may have wanted to experience some freedom from home, until eventually disappearing, never returning. Imagine being a mom sick to your stomach, hoping your son is okay and praying, hoping they aren't mad at you or something. I truly feel for his mother, but hopefully this brought her peace, knowing exactly what happened and not being worried any longer, due to this awareness brought to the once unknown Grateful Doe. Warning, Asians are still being targeted and being followed home. Happened this morning, Kent East Hill. This was posted on Reddit in an attempt to bring awareness to a string of robberies in a neighborhood that had one thing in common: Asian people were being targeted, most likely due to the belief of these thieves that Asian people like to keep large sums of cash at home instead of putting it in a bank. In this ring footage, we see an old Asian couple walking up to their home and opening the door. The lady in pink proceeds to look behind her before entering, quickly noticing a man in all black, sporting a mask. Her face shows that she's completely terrified, reacting quickly and getting inside, slamming the second door. Unlike the last couple that robbed the home, not caring about the ring camera, the thief decides to get rid of the camera. The second home invasion that was recorded in that area also shows an Asian male being targeted, but he didn't get as lucky as the last couple, as he ended up being tased before being able to open the door to get into his home safely, though both of the culprits were found and put in prison for hate crimes, robbery, and impersonating law enforcement. Who knows, they may have gotten inspiration from that one YG song titled Meet the Flockers, where YG basically promotes robbing Asian neighborhoods, Chinese specifically, though the lyrics were changed afterwards, because he was being called out for racism. Kelly Ronahan's dark Instagram rabbit hole. Kelly Ronahan takes to her social media, posting a video in tears where she complains that the only drug that they are giving her for her pain is a cut-in-half baby aspirin. Although it may look like she's just exaggerating and we are peeking in without any context, maybe she's addicted to pain meds, maybe she doesn't really require the meds because doctors don't have a reason to justify giving her something stronger, until she points the camera down towards her body, revealing she had her legs amputated, and that was the reason why she's in massive amounts of pain and in bed. The pain scale is worthless if you yell out that you're at a 10 and they don't believe you, she states. As shown by her colorful, self-described crazy cat lady Insta, she was a full-time ballet instructor. Her passion drove her life, and it looked like she was on an honest and right path for a meaningful and successful career in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, until in the mid-2010s, after a blood test, her life was interrupted by a revelation. Her health was not doing great. Severe anemia, a common blood condition where your blood lacks enough healthy red blood cells, or hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen from your lungs to your body, requiring frequent blood transfusions, posting on Insta that she may have sickle cell anemia, but that she truly has no clue, and that her male specialist is no help, claiming that they told her it is what it is when she received her diagnosis, and that they will wait to see what happens. Kelly states that she may just end up dying, and wants to transfer to a better doctor in Vancouver, Canada. In late 2015 and early 2016, coverage quoted her and summarized that she'd been receiving transfusions sometimes as often as weekly and had accumulated dozens of transfusions over roughly 2 years, with Ronahan emphasizing how dependent she was on donated blood. Throughout this time, she would claim to know the real disease that was causing this pain in her life, claiming to have multiple sclerosis, a chronic disease of the central nervous system. She was even asking for a certain medical procedure, which involved in removing her uterus, believing that it was where the problem stemmed from, that it was secretly killing her, and claiming that the doctor thought this may be the issue as well, but there was no proof, only photos and her long captions that were posted all throughout her Instagram wall. Gaining a decent following on her page, people wanted to keep up on her journey, full of sympathizers wishing her the best and donators actually contributing to her health. July 15th, 2016, a strange post was made. This time, it did not capture her in a hospital room hooked up to a machine, but instead she was on her 2 feet, heading out the door of a hospital with her caption reading, "Guys, I couldn't stay anymore. I was too far gone in my head. I snowballed everything that was said, read between lines, and made false assumptions, but either way, it was no longer okay to be there. There were questions about my bladder retention being due to anxiety. I took that as they think I'm faking it. The nurse that was trying to use, I was getting sicker. I stopped drinking because I feared I wouldn't be assisted. Honestly, all of the other nurses were so kind and understanding, but with such a sensitive issue, even one foul play scared me. The doctor couldn't figure out the seizures. They believed it might be from a medication I'd been on for years." Her followers sided with her, agreeing that the medical systems are bad and don't understand their patients. This did end up triggering a snowball effect of skepticism, as she hadn't posted anything like this before, with one person questioning how her hemoglobin levels dropped so fast overnight with no source of any bleeding or nothing. Had she been finally exposed for faking her illness for social media fame and money? The pictures posted on her Insta sometimes had her arms out in the open, revealing that she had self-harm marks on them that she said were from mental health issues she faced in the past. They were just puffy at the time, according to her, explaining why they may have looked newer, which could be true, but pairing this up to her anemia issues, many concluded that she was doing it on purpose to get the medical results she wanted. My port has been sore and slightly inflamed since last Wednesday. Blood transfusion. Last night it started hurting really bad and I have had a fever. Unfortunately, I looked at some things in the internet and scared myself silly about sepsis. So I came into the ER this morning. Not only is my port not flushing, but it has a pocket infection. It is now swelling and has outgrown my boob. Not a big feat. I am waiting for antibiotics and then I get to go home. On Tuesday, during my usual transfusion, someone from vascular will come assist me and decide what to do next. What commonly happens with pocket infections is that the port needs to be removed. This would be 2 surgeries because I would need a new port, but in the other side of my chest. It looked like her health was actively declining, getting multiple infections in her port and having to get them replaced. Until one of her visits ended up breaking her narrative. In the efforts to get a procedure done on her, blood work was taken once again. The results were shocking. Her hemoglobin levels were back to normal, to a healthy level, explaining to the nurse that she didn't think this was correct, as she still felt weak and sick, demanding another test be done, as the first one was totally incorrect. Her post reads, "I was not feeling good." He said, "Well, we're not too concerned about it." I said, "Well, I know my body and I have been managing the symptoms for over 3 years. He rolled his eyes at me and said, "Well, we have the test results." So I then said, "I still think they are wrong. I really want a second test." He said, "Regardless of your blood work today, you're not getting your blood transfusion." Okay, so I guess I am a blood seeker, a freaking blood addicted junkie trying to weasel her way into a psychedelic blood transfusion. OMG, he left. I was in tears. I went through the procedure and recovery, etc. And as soon as I was discharged, I went to the lab for a blood test on my own. I have standing orders. I got the results today. As I suspected, the blood test was inaccurate by 15 points. So were her doctors secretly conspiring against her in order to save the hospital money and not treat her, therefore risking their reputation and a lawsuit to stop Kelly from being healthy? That was the framing she had been pushing in her posts. It was Kelly versus the world of medical experts. Munchausen syndrome is an older label for a mental health condition where someone deceives others by pretending to be sick or deliberately causing symptoms/injury to themselves in order to stay in the quote-unquote sick role. With this, they could use people by gaining their sympathy. This label was used on Kelly by many online followers of her life, and you truly had to be a follower to keep up with her 3,000 plus posts. Over time, her online presence became inseparable from the intense internet scrutiny. Communities dedicated to calling out suspected illness faking fixated on her posts, leading to the end of Ranahan's story, which spiraled into a mix of sympathy and harassment that played out across platforms. Then, suddenly, she didn't need transfusions anymore. 2018 marked the end of her anemia symptoms.
Hey guys, thanks for being concerned. Stuff. I'm doing a lot better right now.
But it also marked the start of a new problem she had in her body, which is arguably far worse, posting her swollen feet and hands. I have no idea what this is all about. I see a doctor this afternoon. She also had discoloration and what looked like bruises in many photos. One thing to know is that during this time, in the in-between behind the scenes that she was posting, it looked like she was just wanting to live a normal life almost, singing in her car. You can see someone who just wanted attention and you almost feel bad about all those comments saying she was faking it. She was put on antibiotics for eczema. It is a deeper ulcer-like form of impetigo, a bacterial skin infection that goes past the very top layer of skin. It usually starts as a small blister or pimple and then turns into a punched-out sore with a thick crust. It ends up not helping at all, and through the looks of these pictures, it seems to have progressed. I cannot show them. Let's just say it triggers my trypophobia. Her doctor ends up re-diagnosing her with something else completely, Behçet syndrome, a rare, painful, chronic inflammatory disorder causing blood vessel inflammation. It's just all downhill now, and you could see it on her face as the posts go by through time. Needing surgeries and medication, her legs were losing skin, but eventually everything stabilized, or at least it seemed like it, and she was back to recovery. Taking a walk for the first time in a while, big smile on her face. The only thing stopping her was herself at that point, as the doctors advised against touching the surgical site and picking at it, a habit that didn't end up dying, as she would be back in the hospital again in 2021, not listening to her doctors. She was indeed picking at the surgical site. Just scrolling, you will see how her legs get worse and worse as time goes on, even facing potential removal of her Instagram account due to the graphic photos she was uploading onto the site of her leg wounds. real life situation. Please don't delete my account. IG, please let me stay. I get so much support here. If this gets reported, my whole account will be deleted. There's nothing explicit about it at all. All this until her doctors most likely had no choice but to go for an amputation. Both of Kelly's legs were amputated, a life-changing event. It makes sense why her account completely stopped posting around 2021. Even though she may receive a lot of hate because of this, it's all just sad, and you can't help but feel bad for someone who has to go this far to feel comfortable in their brain. UTTP is a troll group on the internet who tried to take their edginess to a whole other level. From strange, disgusting comments to straight up sharing illegal material, they are all over the place and can be seen using this image of a cartoon police officer as their community logo. Tommy Parkey was the first troll of many, originating in 2011 by trolling All Babies Are Atheists, who claimed that he was doxxed and feared for his safety as the quote-unquote trolling had gone too far on behalf of this Tommy Parkey character. He genuinely looked disturbed by his actions in these videos, even going as far as deleting his entire YouTube account. I guess this put some joy in Tommy Parkey's heart, as he was inspired enough to create a troll account titled the YouTube Troll Police, or UTTP. His organization had the mission of prosecuting trolls on the internet, though he would just target anyone. That inspired many others to join the movement, changing their profile pics to that logo of a cop with their own spin on it. The image of the original cop was taken from the 1970s animated film, The Phantom Toll Booth. Tommy would go on to serve 10 months in prison, though, after attacking his brother, killing the momentum of his movement. Although there was one fearless Chad who decided to take on the grift, named Steven Larson, not related to Daniel Larson apparently. This guy would dress up in a uniform and just act cringe in front of the camera, and say that he wants to arrest internet trolls, though they would take it easy and just troll fans of the FNAF franchise. In 2020, things started to actually turn dark again. The Sure-based 12 era, he or they took control of the movement and filled it with life again. They would hack into gacha creators' YouTubers' accounts, replacing their video names to "This channel was hacked by Sure-based 12" and the UTTP logo as the thumbnail. This was pretty serious, as they most likely used phishing links to trick these creators into giving up passwords and emails. The videos posted after the hack were also trollish in nature. Emperor Anime Sucks was the next in command of these trolls, taking the degeneracy to a whole different low. And yes, Discord was where it shifted to mainly, where UTTP members would post gory vids that had to do with animals and even kids, as well as using it to dox people's info that they didn't like. Emperor Anime Sucks would also mimic the new style of predator techniques, using blackmail to get minors to harm themselves. The new trend amongst other predatory-like groups who have gone viral, like 764. They wouldn't just keep the campaign of terror hidden though, they would also do public things like commenting sick stuff about whatever depraved thing they had on their Discord servers under YouTube videos, backfiring as big YouTubers began to cover the situation, calling them out for all this heinous stuff, inviting the attention of law enforcement, who supposedly began investigating them, even making an arrest, causing them to cower in fear and begin to leave the group. God Helmet. The God Helmet is one of those ideas that sounds like pure science fiction at first glance. An experimental device that claims to nudge the brain into brush-ups with the divine by bathing your temporal lobes in extremely weak, carefully patterned electromagnetic fields. Developed in the 1980s and 1990s by Canadian neuroscientist Michael Persinger and engineer Stanley Coren, the apparatus itself is surprisingly low-tech looking, essentially a modified snowmobile helmet with a ring of small coils, solenoids placed around the head, especially over the temporal lobes, all wired to a computer that feeds them quote-unquote complex magnetic patterns. During a typical session, a subject sits alone in a dark, sound-dampened chamber that also functions as a Faraday cage, shielding out most external electromagnetic noise, so only the helmet's fields and the Earth's own magnetism are present. The fields generated by the helmets are incredibly weak compared to the EM field from a landline, handset, or a hairdryer, and about 1 million times weaker than a medical transcranial magnetic stimulation. but instead of brute force, it relies on intricate waveforms based on recordings of limbic and temporal brain activity, like the burst firing of structures such as the amygdala. Persinger's big hypothesis, which he framed within neurotheology, was that many religious and mystical experiences are side effects of temporal lobe processes, and that by subtly disturbing the balance between the left and right hemispheres, what he calls vectorial hemisphericity, you could cause the normal background right hemisphere self to intrude into conscious awareness, showing up as a sensed presence, a feeling that someone or something is in the room with you even when you're physically alone. In his lab reports, Persinger claimed that a large majority of subjects, often at least 80%, described powerful altered states while wearing the helmet, presences that felt like angels, dead relatives, abstract entities, or in some cases, outright encounters with God, along with intense emotions, out-of-body sensations, and feeling of cosmic significance to the moment. These results made the God helmet a media magnet. It showed up in documentaries like the BBC's God on the Brain, where science writer Richard Dawkins tried it and mostly just felt odd and a bit dizzy, while psychologist Susan Blackmore reported one of the most extraordinary experiences of her life in the same exact setup, and journalists from places like Wired walked away simultaneously intrigued and underwhelmed. That split response, some people having mind-bending encounters, others feeling almost nothing, sits at the core of the controversy. Critics argue that the dramatic reports are driven less by magnetism and more by suggestibility, expectation, and the power of being told that a machine might let you feel God. A Swedish team led by Fer Granqvist tried to replicate Persinger's work under strict double-blind conditions and found that whether people reported mystical or presence experiences was predicted entirely by their personality traits and suggestibility, not by whether the magnetism field was actually on or off, concluding that the effects were psychological rather than electromagnetic. Persinger fired back, though, that their protocol didn't truly match his, and thus didn't count as a real replication. Mars was Eden in the Bible. What if Eden, the lush paradise said to be humanity's first home, was never on Earth at all, but on ancient Mars, in a time before memory, when the red planet wasn't a frozen desert, but a living world? This theory suggests that the biblical Garden of Eden wasn't a metaphor or a myth, but a real location, a fertile Martian valley fed by rivers, rich with warm water, and the conditions for early life. Mars once had a thicker atmosphere, a magnetic shield, and a vast flowing system that carved canyons, left behind deltas, and preserved layers of clay, the kind that only forms in still, shallow water over long periods of time, leading many to conclude that this has something to do with Genesis. The book of Genesis speaks of a river that splits into 4 heads, a detail that's eerily similar to the branching outflow channels seen near the complex veins of Valles Marineris, a scar so massive it dwarfs Earth's Grand Canyon and could easily cradle all 4 rivers of Eden within its ancient walls. The timeline fits. Mars is older than Earth in terms of habitability. It likely had liquid water and possibly life long before Earth stabilized enough to hold its own. If life began there, if a civilization, primitive or advanced, once thrived in this paradise, then the expulsion from Eden wasn't caused by sin, but by catastrophe. As Mars lost its magnetic field, solar radiation stripped away the atmosphere, the surface pressure collapsed, the rivers all dried up, and the lakes evaporated. This caused the Eden to collapse. This fall would have been planetary, not symbolic, and for those who lived there, survival meant one thing: they needed to escape. That's where the theory darkens. A powerful impact like the ones that created Mars's massive craters could have ejected fragments of the Martian crust into space, carrying dormant microbes, maybe even genetic materials across the void, with those rocks then landing on Earth and seeding life on the planet, all this being the truth behind all the Eden myths across cultures, with another theory being that the Mars rover is actually looking for our past buried under the red dust, not some sort of alien life.